Therefore, Li Hao stared at the direction where his master disappeared. Finally, he clenched his fist. He made a decision for himself. He wanted to become stronger. Become stronger. According to his master, their original bodies were all level 11 strongmen. Then he had to find a way to become a level 12 strongman. Then, come up with another way. Or, after he really became stronger, he would go to find his master. If he found that his two masters both had the memory of their clones and still had feelings for him, then he would go to recognize them. If there was no feeling, his two clone masters would disappear in the vast sea of memory and consciousness of the original body. Then, Li Hao has made up his mind. There will be a battle between them. And Li Hao's choice is also very simple. He wants to become a strong man of level 12 or even level 13. Then find the real bodies of his two masters. Defeat those two people. Then use the method of defying the heaven to extract the memories of his two real masters. Reshape their bodies. Make the clone and the real body become different individuals. This matter will become Li Hao's obsession for a long time in the future. After Sujia finished his acting, he also began to make simple calculations. This simulated acting seems to be quite good. Not only did it give Li Hao a goal, and it can be regarded as Li Hao owes him a huge favor. At the same time, Sujia, is not joking. Sujia has already thought about the people who died to save him today. When he returns to the space station, he will immediately revive them. Resurrect as a demon. After all, the reason. Let's not talk about anything else. Look at Li Hao's qualifications and potential. In just a few years, Li Hao has grown to the 8th level of strength. Although Li Hao's foundation may not be as abnormal as Hongyi. After all, Hongyi is the body of an ancient god. But foundation is foundation. And potential is potential. It seems that Li Hao is just lacking such an opportunity. Judging from the current progress speed, Sujia thinks that some resources should be allocated to Li Hao. This guy might be able to stand on the same stage with me and Hongyi. Anyway, this will have a relatively large impact on his future plans. Such a child of destiny. If he is not used properly, it would be a big loss. Of course, it is a bit too much to say that he is used. Although everything is in his Sujia's plan. But Sujia really values Li Hao. As for the exposure of the matter, his master will definitely not say anything. And except for his master Imururu, only he knows that he knows what happened today. Even today's things. Even his master is not clear. Therefore, the possibility of the matter being exposed is almost zero. Even if the matter is exposed, it will be a long time in the future. By that time, it is estimated that he, Sujia, has successfully killed all the ancient gods and unified the universe. In any case, today is a great success. Not only did he complete the corresponding plan in his own ancient god temple, but he also warned them a few words. I believe that in a few days, his own family temple will directly come to the Six Realms star field here. The Six Realms world where Alice is. At present, Sujia naturally plans to go to the Galactic Empire in the end. Everything is going steadily in the Galactic Empire, and it is too early to go there now. Therefore, the second to last destination is naturally to return to the Six Realms star field. According to the time, it is almost time for me to come out of seclusion. As for the princess, even if I haven't found the remaining herbs yet, it will probably not be too long. If you can't find so many herbs these days, the princess will probably come to talk to me. If the herbs are about the same size, the princess will try to interfere with my seclusion, or continue to wait. Then Sujia is embarrassed to let the other party wait too long. After all, whether the North King survives or the princess survives in the future, Sujia plans to cooperate with the other party. Again, the North King City is the starting base that Sujia plans to set up in the Six Realms star region. All counterattacks will start from that world. It can't be called a counterattack, but the meaning is clear. After all, he launched a war against the ancient gods. The war started openly. It must be at that time. But to be honest, Sujia is really curious now. How are the guys who belong to the same identity as him? That is, the pioneers? Now, he has inquired about some news before. Quite a number of people have become appendages of some cosmic empires from their original pioneer identities. As a simple driver traveling in the universe, bringing the use of the empire they are loyal to. This kind of people can be called the bottom of the pioneers. After all, pioneers have an identity. That is, they can travel the entire universe regardless of technological power. They are very popular in the entire universe. However, if they are a little ambitious, they probably won't be willing to be inferior to others. After all, if they have such a supernatural ability, if they develop themselves, or just find a remote small planet, it is easy to develop and grow. Therefore, except for the pioneers in the lowest echelon, the pioneers in the second echelon have all become planet masters. And the pioneers, who are not much different from the planet masters, are space pirates. A little higher up, there are some galaxy bosses. Hisujia does not belong to this echelon. In other words, it is one level higher than this echelon. After all, the world controlled by Sujia is more than one galaxy. The Galactic Empire alone has spread over a long distance of space travel. And there are countless races loyal to Sujia. He had talked with the Galactic Empire in his spare time before. There are also many pioneers who want to join him. And the reason why Sujia thought about this matter today is that he was also thinking in the future. Or in other words, the next war with the ancient gods. Will the pioneers be good or bad for themselves? This time, the identity change of the pioneers must be related to a certain ancient god. Then, will those pioneers stand against him? Sujia is not too worried about other forces. Even if it is stronger than the Shioshian world, it is difficult to travel in the interstellar. Without the pioneers to lead such a powerful world, it is difficult to find and locate accurately in the universe. Therefore, the pioneers are a certain threat to him. Sujia. Even if it is the weakest pioneer, he, Sujia, dare not underestimate it. After all, he, Sujia, is very powerful alone. And his power is also very powerful. But the fear is to guard against thieves for 1,000 days. No matter how strong the barriers are, how strong the psychological quality is, and how many security guards there are, it is difficult to resist the thieves who are always thinking about you. This is a question and topic that Sujia is more worried about. But after thinking about it, Sujia was relieved, seeing that he was getting closer and closer to the planet where the Northern King City was located. Sujia also shook his head. These things, even if he now feels that the pioneers are a threat to him, he can't deal with them. Then he can only take it one step at a time. As for the upcoming Ancient God War, what role will the pioneers play? Let's look forward to the follow-up. Moreover, who said that the pioneers will definitely stand in his team? Maybe it will be a great help to him. Sujia. But this is just a thought. After all, what Sujia wants to do is more evil in the eyes of outsiders. After all, kill all the ancient gods and plunder all the fragments of the universe rules. Isn't that an ambitious person who wants to rule the entire universe? Even if Sujia talks a lot, no matter how beautiful his ideal is, once he adds hegemony, these can be mistaken by others as just beautiful rhetoric. As time goes by, Sujia finally returns to the place where his clone was in seclusion in the city of the Northern King. After a simple observation, he found that no one had come recently. At the same time, after absorbing the memory of the clone, Sujia found that no one came to disturb him. However, just now when returning to the area, Sujia discovered, or felt, that there was indeed someone outside his retreat. After thinking about it, Sujia simply tidied himself up and used special spiritual energy to shake, and the dust on his body was gone. When the cultivation level reaches level 3 or above, not to mention that it is okay, there is no need to eat or other problems. At least in terms of personal hygiene, it has been achieved without stains. Then, Sujia opened the door directly. The next moment, Sujia saw a maid from the Greta family who had met several times waiting outside the door. At the same time, next to the maid was a kingdom knight. Sujia also had some impression of this knight. In that auction, Gong Wei was the exclusive knight beside the princess. I guess the princess had the latest news. Before Sujia could say anything, the knight spoke respectfully. Lord Sujia, Your Majesty, I have found all the herbs you need. I have been waiting for you for a long time. He did not say how long he had been waiting for Sujia, but from the reason why these people did not bother him in a hurry, it can be seen that these people also respected him. I think it should be that after Sujia completed his goal on Alice, his value has been raised by more than one level. As for the current level of respect, it is a response. However, Sujia was too lazy to be arrogant. Sujia had a good habit. If others were tough, Sujia would be tougher. And if others were soft, Sujia would be softer. Sujia never bothered to do such things as bullying the weak. After that, Sujia followed the maid and the knight to the palace. During the period, they were naturally riding in a divine beast carriage. The appearance was also full. During the period, when passing by some members of the Greta family, the shy eyes of those people also showed how much they looked down on Sujia before and thought that Sujia was a liar. And now, these people are so ashamed. Sujia could tell with a little guess that it was probably because of Alice and other reasons that the Greta family had a closer cooperation with the eldest princess. However, Sujia was a little curious, whether it was the eldest prince or the second prince, or other candidates for the throne. Did they know what the eldest princess was doing now? If they really knew, why would those people still target the eldest princess? Is it a bit too much? Or is there going to be a scene of no family affection in the emperor's family? After all, the eldest princess wants to revive her father. But this is not good news for other candidates for the throne. After all, once my northern king recovers, it proves that no matter which candidate for the throne is, they all lost the qualification to become the true master of the northern king city. That is, the new generation of the northern king. If this is true, the eldest princess is so powerful and prestigious. But she is still excluded. The reason why she is in a bad situation now is clear. For some princes and princesses, the so-called father's rescue and recovery is far less real than the future of a king. It can also be seen that in the face of absolute interests, family affection is insignificant. If this is true, Sujia is a little disappointed. At the same time, he also made up his mind. If the situation is really as he thought, this is the situation. He will cooperate with the northern king city, but he will not communicate in depth later. As for taking Bei Wang Jiqing as his living subordinate, that is even more impossible. His requirements for living subordinates are still very high. Of course, if it is the reincarnation of the demon clan, the requirements for the resurrected must be higher. But no matter what kind of person, he can't tolerate people who value power more than family affection. Such despicable people. To tell the truth, it's a question of whether they look down on them. Sujia doesn't dare to use them. After all, Sujia is determined to fill the entire universe with red. Such people with greater selfishness and people who value power more mean that their corruption progresses faster. Sujia doesn't want to see the world he has conquered with great difficulty being ruined by a group of scum. That's putting the cart before the horse. After all, Sujia has never forgotten his original intention. He has never forgotten why he wants to conquer the whole world. Isn't it to bring true equality to everyone? Of course. The main reason is that if in such an absolutely equal environment, the improvement of Sujia and the utilization rate of resources will reach an astonishing and terrifying level. It will also be of great benefit to Sujia to attack the next universe. That's right. Successfully killing all the ancient gods and occupying the absolute control of this universe is not the end. It is the starting point of his goal and plan. Therefore, like the corrupt and the scum who regard power as more important than anything else, it is absolutely impossible to stay. Such people are most suitable to be killed, and then sent to the Pure Land, and reformed in the dream world. If the reform is successful, they will be given the opportunity to reincarnate and revive. If the reform is unsuccessful, they will be convicted according to good and evil. Even then, they will stay in the dream world forever and enjoy a peaceful life. Evil people. Then they will suffer countless reincarnations until they die. The boundary between good and evil is also very clear. Some people value power very much, but they will not kill without reason. At least when they value power, they only think about themselves. But they will not harm others. Although this possibility is very small, it is not impossible. Some people become stronger and climb higher, just to avoid being looked down upon by others. That's all. But some people just want that sense of superiority, to enjoy the feeling of controlling the life and death of others, and the fate of others. The former is a sophisticated egoist. Although it has no effect on a city or a society, it will at least not cause too much harm. The latter is obviously a precursor to the collapse of a force, a country, a kingdom, and an organization. A termite. Therefore, Sujia had to consider what the other candidates for the king's choice in the northern king city thought. It would be fine if those people didn't know. After all, it was just for the competition of the king's election. At present, Sujia didn't see that the eldest princess suffered any life threat, which proved that the other king's candidates at least still cared about family affection. But Sujia had to consider, the eldest princess had not encountered any danger so far. but was excluded so badly? Was it because the other king's candidates knew that the eldest princess stood on the side of her father, the northern king's city? It's not that they didn't want to hurt the eldest princess. They just didn't dare. If that's the case, Su Jia had a headache when he thought of this. At the same time, Su Jia didn't dwell on it for too long, and soon felt relieved. If that's the case, it's not bad to cooperate with him. After the cooperation is completed, just backstab him directly. Su Jia doesn't have any cooperation contracts with morals. Su Jia only values practical things. Soon, Su Jia followed the divine beast carriage to the palace. However, the process was not very smooth. When they entered the palace and followed the knight and the maid to a room or an area, on the way, they met an uninvited guest. This person was not someone else's knight. When he suddenly knelt on one knee and respectfully called the person in front of him as His Majesty the Great Prince, Su Jia felt that things would not be so simple. However, soon, the handsome and cold young man, after noticing that Su Jia did not follow the knight and the maid to kneel and salute him, a trace of displeasure flashed across his face. At the same time, the prince did not blame him for this matter, but suddenly raised his eyebrows and laughed sarcastically. "Are you the liar that the emperor's sister found?" Obviously, this remark was quite offensive, but Su Jia raised his eyebrows, without even looking at the other party. Just stood there, and this made the prince a little uneasy. Obviously, as the prince of a country, being ignored like this is very disrespectful. However, just when the prince was about to say something, the knight who was originally kneeling on one knee respectfully to salute there suddenly stood up expressionlessly. Then, he spoke. "Your Majesty, we still have things to do. Please forgive me." After saying that, the knight did not wait for the eldest prince's reaction, but looked at Su Jia directly. There was no helplessness or blame in his eyes, as if he thought that Su Jia's appearance was normal. The knight walked forward directly, and his meaning was very simple. Don't worry about the eldest prince. Just walk away. This scene made the eldest prince laugh. Then, the eldest prince suddenly looked fierce, and slapped Su Jia, who was about to pass by him. This scene seemed to be felt by the knight walking in front. In an instant, the knight turned around suddenly, and a flash of cruelty flashed in his eyes. At the same time, there was also some shock and anger, because this knight knew that he could not stop the eldest prince from attacking. Although the eldest prince was also an 8th level strongman like the eldest princess. But this knight was also at the peak of the 8th level. He was the special guard of the eldest princess. He was even more of a deadly waiter. After all, his knight family, his lover, and his children had all received the favor of the eldest princess. Now, the person the eldest princess needed was about to be killed or seriously injured by the eldest prince. But the knight found that he had no time to stop it. While he was furious, the knight also regretted why he did not expect the eldest prince to be so shameless and dare to attack Su Jia directly. However, when this palm actually landed, just when the eldest prince also showed an expression of favor on his face. But Su Jia, who was slapped but did not move at all, just frowned. Then he casually slapped the eldest prince's hand aside, said nothing, and walked straight towards the knight with an expressionless face. This scene directly shocked everyone present. Obviously, they did not expect Su Jia to be so calm and not hurt at all. And Su Jia also sneered in his heart. The eldest prince did not seem to have any murderous intentions towards him just now, but it was indeed vicious. At the same time, it also made Su Jia realize something. The eldest prince probably knew what the eldest princess was doing. And the most disappointing thing happened. The eldest prince probably regarded power as more important than family affection. The most likely reason why the eldest princess was not dealt with was probably because the king of the north was not really dead. He was probably afraid that he would face the wrath of the king of the north after dealing with the eldest princess. Because of this palm of the eldest prince, Su Jia clearly felt that although the eldest prince had no intention of killing him, but this palm was enough to destroy his cultivation. Of course, the premise was that his Su Jia's cultivation was only level 5. But the result was a pity. An 8th level cultivator, no longer holding the intention of killing, and still with a little bit of staying. It was only aimed at the attack of the 5th level practitioner. How could it have any effect on this 11th level practitioner of his dog? Therefore, Su Jia walked directly to them while the knight and the maid were stunned, and signaled them to lead the way quickly. The eldest prince, with a gloomy and terrifying face, was left standing there. Soon, When Sujia and the others really left, the eldest prince suddenly laughed. Hee. Old thing. As a father, he actually wanted to take over his child's body to be resurrected. As a son, I can't watch my father fall like this. As a brother, I can't watch my sister being taken over by a beast like you. Glancing coldly at Sujia, the eldest prince made a secret decision when the others disappeared. His goal and plan to seize power will be advanced. As for whether it will succeed, the eldest prince is pessimistic. But there is one thing. The eldest prince is sure to exchange 1-for-1 with his father. And then, he has discussed with his second brother, the second prince. After he, the eldest prince, and the northern king die together, all news will be blocked directly. Afterwards, the second prince will lead the entire northern king's city, find a way to improve combat effectiveness. And their sister, that is, the eldest princess, in the entire royal system, the eldest princess ranks third, will become a key link in this plan. After all, the eldest princess is the strongest one in their royal family. She is also the one with the strongest qualifications. Otherwise, the northern king would not think of taking over the eldest princess's body instead of taking over their bodies. Therefore, the eldest prince has already thought about it. After he and his father die together, his sister, that is, the eldest princess, probably will not throw her original anger to the entire northern king family. I will not throw my anger to the second prince. By that time, I will be dead. So let my sister hate me. Anyway, by that time, my younger brother, the second prince, will control the government. My sister only needs to improve her strength and become the next real king of the north. Not a puppet taken over by the king of the north. That's enough. With this thought, the eldest prince's expression gradually became firm and walked out of the castle. However, the eldest prince didn't know. He talked to himself on a whim today. But all of them were heard by Sujia. However, Sujia originally had a bad and mocking expression. But suddenly he smiled a little. Okay. My thoughts are a little dark. The potential of the northern king's city is good. I take back what I said before. They are suitable to be my subordinates. The premise is that a certain corrupt old man must die. When Sujia met the eldest princess again, he saw that the eldest princess was lying in a medicinal bath without any cover. It seemed that it was the critical moment of some ritual. But there were still some creative possibilities before this critical moment. And this possibility was also obvious. That is, the preparation of the medicinal materials promised by him, Sujia. And he, Sujia, was also the last link of this plan. Once he, Sujia, completed the closed loop of the plan, it would be the time when the northern king successfully recovered. At this time, the princess, some knights, and the housekeeper beside the princess were fearless. They let Sujia enter, and saw the princess lying in the medicinal bath without any cover. Sujia did not have any special reaction to this. The princess was indeed at a good age. At this time, she was a little shy. But because of responsibility, the princess still spoke calmly. You are here. The medicinal materials and some preparations have been prepared. I will leave it to you next. After taking a deep look at the princess, Sujia did not directly answer other questions, but asked back. Have you really made a decision? But you haven't given me an answer yet. Sujia's words were very simple. Is it to help the northern king or to devour the northern king? However, the eldest princess sneered at this. The grace of raising me cannot be repaid. As soon as these words came out, Sujia also understood the girl's thoughts. I think so. The grace of giving birth can be repaid by cutting off one's head. The grace of raising me can never be repaid. Sujia could understand what the eldest princess did. Of course, he did not agree. In other words, I can give it to you, but you can't force it. To put it simply, if the northern king refuses to do so to his daughter, then Sujia thinks that the eldest princess is right to do so, because this is the mutual dedication and respect between father and child. But if the king of the north acquiesces, it can be explained, or it can be regarded as that you were born and cultivated just for this day. Then the favor will naturally no longer exist. Sujia obviously thinks that everything about the king of the north is the latter. It's just that the daughter and the eldest princess have chosen this way. So Sujia will naturally not say much or persuade more. But Sujia is naturally thinking about whether to leave some tricks in this time. Some small accidents happen. Let others not see that it is an accident among accidents. Then let the king of the north fail to seize the body. After all, no matter how he thinks. His relationship with the eldest princess is definitely stronger than that of the Northern King. And the eldest prince seems to be a good person. If Su Jie is not wrong. If he guessed correctly, the eldest prince will probably come to disrupt the situation at the critical moment of this plan of taking over the body. And the eldest prince seems to think that he will die after disrupting the situation. So he has completed the entrustment and entrusted his sister to the second prince. Thinking of this, Su Jie can't help but sigh. The whole family is so kind. However, the father of this family is such a beast. Although he sighed, Su Jie still fulfilled his responsibility. The next moment, he took out the alchemy furnace. At the same time, with a wave of his hand, the medicinal materials held by some guards floated to the alchemy furnace, with countless medicinal materials, as Su Jie waved his hand casually. All the plans were progressing steadily. Countless guards were guarding. Male knights were guarding outside the door, while female maids were respectfully standing by. The eldest princess also had a complicated expression, lying quietly in the medicinal bath with an indifferent look, staring blankly at Su Jie, who was seriously refining medicinal materials at this time. That look seemed to be reminiscing, and seemed to be afraid, reminiscing the expectation of living, fear of the unknown death. It's true. The eldest princess is just a child after all. It is inevitable that she will be a little afraid, no matter how high the level of consciousness is. When facing death, they may not change their minds. But who can really not be afraid of death? Unless that person has experienced something more terrible than death. Otherwise, death will always be the most terrifying thing in a life sequence. Soon, this time Su Jie did not show off his skills or do any tricks. Instead, he added many backups in his thoughts and considerations, including but not limited to. After absorbing these medicinal materials, he will be 100% restricted by Su Jie in the future. At the same time, Su Jie can also decide whether the possession is successful or not. Su Jie can even steal some of the power in the possession without anyone noticing. Of course, Su Jie did not do it to the extreme. If he did it to the extreme, Su Jie took all the power of the two people in one breath. Then, Su Jie would directly have all the power of a level 10 peak strongman, even close to level 11. After all, even if the Northern King was seriously injured at this time, his strength was at the peak of level 10. And the princess in front of him was also an 8-level strongman. Anyway, if Su Jie really did this, he would not only get 2 intact puppets in the end, but Su Jie obviously did not do this. To put it bluntly, if Su Jie wanted to upgrade quickly, he can completely devour all the souls in the Pure Land. At the same time, he can integrate all the resources of the 10,000 races Hall and the living creatures into his body. Then Su Jie, will be stable at that time and can fix his strength at the peak of level 15. But Su Jie obviously does not want that kind of peak strength of level 15, let alone that kind of thing. Whether Su Jie, is willing to do it, and whether his conscience will be condemned, just for the sake of combat power, Su Jie, will never do it. In other words, compared with Bo Za's body, there is no combat power, or it can only fight in the same level, but it cannot fight across levels. Weak 15th level. His goal and purpose is to become the ancient god in the legend. He is already a much stronger ancient god among his peers. But Su Jie, wants to become a higher level ancient god. As you can imagine, how difficult it is to operate. Su Jie, must also ensure that he is invincible among his peers. Otherwise, challenging the ancient god is simply wishful thinking. However, if you do not become an ancient god, do not kill an ancient god, and seize the other party's authority. Even if you are the strongest 15th level strongman in the universe, you are just a weak ant when facing an ancient god. This will make it more and more difficult to defeat the ancient god as time goes by. In other words, the universe is still relatively young now. At least the ancient gods are young. It has not reached the level and stage of despair yet. Su Jie, still has hope. He starts by killing the weak ancient gods, and then step by step becomes the real master of the universe, rather than the master of the universe below the ancient gods. In fact, to put it bluntly, in the universe today, Su Jie dares to confirm that a large part of the 15th level strongmen are the running dogs of the ancient gods. Those people may have been the chosen ones of heaven in the past, but under the shroud of despair, they seem to understand that they can never defeat the ancient gods, and thus give up struggling. And those weak ones are not only at level 15, They must have compromised at some point. Just like he, Sujia, gave up helping the princess now, and then swallowed up this woman and all his power in one breath. He achieved level 15 in a sloppy manner. This also created the lackeys under the hands of the ancient gods. Therefore, he, Sujia, naturally could not cut off his own way forward, not only for his conscience, but also for his future. And as the alchemy furnace further refined, time began to move by a little bit. In the end, this time, the alchemy journey lasted for half a month. The attendants who were replaced on the way were also batches one after another. During this period, the princess was in trouble. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. Until, as Sujia finished refining the medicine, the day came when the king of the north was invited. This day, when Sujia breathed a sigh of relief to indicate that the pill refining was completed. Then he suddenly saw a man with a very domineering aura. A middle-aged man with a kingly aura and domineering temperament. Under the unparalleled domineering aura, people can clearly feel the old age of this person, and the aura of old age and death. After the man appeared, he smiled at Sujia. Then, he looked deeply at his eldest daughter and spoke. Everything is going according to plan. No thanks. No instructions. Just cold words. This middle-aged man is the so-called Northern King, and his attitude towards his daughter is even worse than Sujia. This made Sujia, the absolute king and overlord, feel a little unhappy, although the man knew that too much emotion would make him miss his judgment. But let's be honest. Anyone would be a little angry about such a thing as repaying kindness with enmity. But Sujia didn't do anything or say anything. The eldest princess just smiled palely, forced a smile and nodded. After everything was ready, the middle-aged man also domineeringly flicked his sleeves and spoke in a cold voice. Follow the original plan. As soon as these words came out, Sujia also got the steps of the plan from a servant. Obviously, his medicinal materials, Sujia, and he himself became part of the plan. Need to assist the father to seize his daughter's body this time. However, Sujia sneered in his heart. Whether it will succeed depends on himself. And this accident, Sujia is confident that no one will suspect him. Then, the first plan began. The eldest princess's body began to become illusory. The body of the Northern King became more solid. However, originally, Sujia, who was not very good-looking and sneered in his heart, suddenly frowned at this time. Sujia's strange behavior made the Northern King suddenly laugh. Who are you? You can actually detect it. But I still advise you not to act rashly. Old man, before I die, I still have the energy to drag someone down with me. After saying this, Sujia actually felt a sense of crisis. Although the sense of crisis was not strong, but it was enough to prove that this dying 10th level Northern King was able to cause harm to him. Sujia, although not fatal, but it is conceivable that someone who is one level weaker than him, Sujia, can still cause harm to him. Sujia. This qualification, attack power and destructive power are also daunting. After all, don't look at Sujia. He is now at the peak of level 11. In fact, Sujia is not afraid of opponents at level 13. It is conceivable that the sense of crisis brought to Sujia by the Northern King at this time is exaggerated to what extent? To put it bluntly, this Northern King seems to be threatening Sujia, who is only one level higher than him. In fact, this Northern King at the peak of level 10 can pose a threat to a strong man at the peak of level 13. But it's still the same sentence. Not enough to kill. Not even seriously injured. But it can break the defense. This is also very terrifying. It is conceivable that in this world, or in the vast universe, not everyone is a waste. To put it bluntly, there are some amazing people. It's just because the planet where they were born, and the cultivation method, and world level of the world they're in are low. Otherwise, their upper limit and future path may not be weaker than some level 15 strongmen. The most striking contrast is Hong Yi. Although Sujia hasn't seen Hong Yi for a long time, because of the Pure Land, Sujia can still feel the other party. That guy has been promoted from the weak level 6 to the current level 10 without knowing it. The terrifying speed is also daunting. I'm afraid that when Li Hao completes the domination of his own world, he Sujia only needs to ask for some resources from Li Hao. Help Hong Yi to level up. It is estimated that it will not take long for Hong Yi to reach level 11. Then come to this world to fight. I think during the journey of fighting, Hong Yi may become an ancient god of the new era. However, after thinking about it, Sujia is more concerned about another thing at this time. The reason why he was warned by the Northern King. The reason why he frowned. Naturally. It is because Sujia has discovered that there is something wrong with this body possession ceremony. Because there is no sign of body possession at all. Even if the two sides have different worldviews and different ways of cultivation. But thousands of great ways. Different paths lead to the same destination. Sooner or later, all the ways will return to one. Therefore, mastering one also proves the other. Even if there is no connection. But it is possible to see some clues. However, Sujia saw the clues at this moment. But the next moment, before Sujia could continue to think, he heard the angry cry of the eldest princess. Father, why are you like this? You are the king of the north. You entrusted such an important mission to me. I can't do it. Dad, I'm afraid. The voice gradually changed from a quiet address to an intimate address. She is also a princess of a country, slowly turning into a little daughter. However, at this time, the body of the king of the north was becoming more and more substantial. The king of the north also laughed cheerfully. Okay, my dear daughter. How could there be a father in this world who would have the heart to take over his own child? Moreover, if your father really does this, your brothers will probably turn against you. Because they found out that when your father wanted you, he was doing those little tricks behind your back. On the surface, it was aimed at you. But in fact it was to protect you. My eyes are not blind. Okay. You guys should stop watching outside. No. You better not come in. There is a difference between men and women. No matter what. My daughter is the princess of a country. Even if you are her brothers, you should not come in. The voice became more and more powerful. The body of the Northern King is becoming more and more substantial. There is even a tendency to transform into a silicon-based life. And Sujia also reflected everything at this time. No wonder. No wonder. No wonder the eldest princess's body is actually becoming virtual. The reason for the virtualization is also very simple. This is a sign that the Northern King is transferring the power of his body to the eldest princess. This is a way to improve qualifications. It is also a means to improve the level of strength. And the eldest princess's body may not be able to bear it. Therefore, there is a tendency to collapse. But the Northern King used the purest power in his life to maintain the collapse of the eldest princess's body. At the same time, he is also helping the eldest princess to reshape her body. As for why the king of the north's body also had such changes, the reason is also very simple. The king of the north intends to pass on his energetic life force to the princess, helping her to become a 9th level strongman. He also has the path to becoming a 10th level strongman. At the same time, there is a slight possibility of becoming an 11th level strongman. This is to pave the way for the princess. At the same time, the king of the north is also afraid that after his death, the other 3 countries will take advantage of this to attack. His body is already powerless. Maybe hiding from shit is really possible to survive. But obviously, the king of the north did not choose that path. Therefore, while the king of the north improves his daughter's qualifications, he also has to make himself a combat puppet. Although not as strong as a level 10 warrior. But at least it is a puppet with level 10 combat power. In addition, as long as this matter is not exposed, a vivid puppet with the appearance of the Northern King and level 10 combat power appears. The kings of the other 3 countries probably would not have thought that the Northern King was dead, and the Northern King exposed to the world was just a puppet. Right? This is the consideration of the head of a country. It is also the love of a father. However, no one is clear. The biggest beneficiary of everything is probably Sujia. There is no need to say more about the reason. When the Northern King transferred the purest power of his own life to the eldest princess, Sujia also secretly stole a lot of it. Although it was not much. But it was also of great help to Sujia's upgrade to the level 12 ancient god body. After all, this was a level 10 strongman who was willing to dedicate himself. After all, which father would hurt his own children? What he gave to his children must be the best. At the same time, if the king of the north really turned into a combat puppet, then the one who controls the highest authority of this combat puppet is probably not the eldest princess. But he, Sujia. Of course, he, Sujia, would never put this matter in the open. But Sujia was also a little funny. It was a pity that he had done so much psychological struggle and psychological construction before. It turns out that there are no bad people in this family. They all say that the imperial family is cold-blooded. But at least in the Northern King's family, Sugia really didn't see how much cold-bloodedness there is. Not only did the eldest princess go to find Paul, the young man from the Greta family, in order not to drag others down, help Paul's sister Alice to prove her identity to prevent Alice from really marrying the Southern King. Needless to say, the rest of the things, Alice thought that it was for the country, for environmental protection, and for the grace of her father's birth and raising, willing to sacrifice her body and let her father take over. But the two brothers of the eldest princess, the eldest prince and the second prince, were thinking, my father is such a jerk that he actually wants to take over my sister's body. Then a series of power struggles began. Everything seemed to want to use power, and the power of the Wang family to force my sister to compromise, or even drive her away. At least the two brothers seemed to think that as long as their sister was safe, humiliation would be fine, and they would talk about it later. Anyway, it was just a word of drag. First drag my old father to death, to prevent my sister from being taken over by my father. This seems to be quite filial, but it is also completely understandable. The result? Everything seems to have become a big mistake. It seems to be useless, but in fact it can clarify a lot of things. Do all the princes really have such noble and lofty ideas? After all, there are more than a dozen princes and princesses in a series, or in other words, in the territory of the Northern King. But in fact, only the eldest princess, the eldest prince and the second prince have achieved this step, or have done this step sincerely. I think it is precisely because of such loyalty and righteousness, and because of the reason of moving forward hand in hand and helping each other. The Northern King may have already set up benefits for these three in secret. At least Sugia did not see that the Northern King had any affection for other princes and princesses. That's right. You are good to me, and I am good to you. Isn't the so-called family affection, or the so-called word of love, just like this? In other words, if the Northern King had not died this time, then the princes and princesses of other kings would probably have fallen out of favor. After all, the other princes and princesses really wanted to kill everyone and become the king themselves. At the same time, those people did not think about what would happen after their fathers died. I am afraid that those people really fit the design of the ruthless imperial family. The other princes and princesses probably thought, expected and wished every day and night that the eldest prince, the second prince, the eldest princess, and the Northern King would all die together. Only in this way can they have a slight chance to become the legendary and desirable Northern King. But it is obvious, those people probably won't get what they want. Or, all the plans and expectations of everyone will fail because of his intervention. Just when the old man of the North King wanted to completely refine himself into a puppet mind before his death. Or in other words, the moment of complete death, Sugia took a step forward. The eldest princess's face changed slightly, and her expression suddenly became stern. Sugia, what are you going to do? Even though she was sad and painful, the eldest princess still put on a princess's posture and looked at Sugia coldly. After all, Sugia at this time came directly to the North King without saying a word, and grabbed the North King's head in a rebellious way. At this time, the King of the North seemed unable to resist. After all, the King of the North was only one step away from being refined into a puppet. No one thought that a small shrimp of level 5 could pose any threat. But that was exactly the case. Sugia, who was not very important in the eyes of others, or even if he was important, at least not within the scope of threat, did such a shocking thing. And because of the eldest princess's exclamation, countless guards and the eldest and second princes also successfully broke in. The eldest princess was also quick-eyed and quick-handed, and directly took out a bathrobe from the storage bag and put it on. Everyone looked at Sugia, who was holding the King of the North's head at this time, with a covetous look. In response, Sugia laughed helplessly and spread his hands. Don't get me wrong. After all, my image today is just a doctor, and a doctor can't just watch someone die without saving them. When Sugia said this, everyone's eyes were a little wary and hostile. But the eldest prince, who had come to his senses, asked tentatively, although he had some concerns, watch someone die without saving him? Do you mean you have a way to save the King of the North? Hearing the eldest prince's words, Sugia sneered and smiled helplessly. I have the ability to save the King of the North. But no one came to ask me. No one gave me any benefits. It's just that I'm very happy today, and I'm willing to help him for free. Although I originally wanted to make the Northern King fail to seize the body at the critical moment to tease you. Anyway, you won't find out at that time. But I have changed my mind now. Although Su Jie said some treasonous words, no one was angry. Even the Northern King who was held by Su Jie showed a little smile. The young man is quite courageous. Whether it is the previous thoughts or the current behavior. In this case, forget it. You are all watching. I want to see how this Taoist friend plans to rescue. Obviously. Although the Northern King acted righteous and even risked his life. But it's still the same sentence. No one is not afraid of death. It is precisely because of Su Jie's previous words that the Northern King has some hope. This is what Su Jie wants. He just needs to help others in times of need. Let others be grateful to him. There must also be this kind of relationship and emotion in it. Only in the future can he, Su Jie, establish his new starting base in the Northern King. Then counterattack the entire 6-realm star region. Then disintegrate this force step by step. Achieve a level 15 strongman to fight in the sky. Kill the ancient god and become the ancient god. And become the supreme master of the universe. Therefore, under the shock and astonishment of everyone present, although Su Jie did not show his strength directly, but anyone with a discerning eye could see that at least Su Jie's ability was definitely not at level 5. At least, it was a system that they could not understand. In other words, in everyone's eyes, Su Jie's combat system was only level 5. But in fact, his ability to refine pills and treat medicine was no weaker than some level 10 alchemists and medical practitioners. Just because, although Su Jie was making a disrespectful gesture and grabbing the head of the King of the North. In fact, countless medicinal herbs flew out of Su Jie's storage bag. Some medicinal herbs. People knew their value just by looking at them. And they were extremely rare. Even the eldest prince and the eldest princess saw it at a glance. A world-shaking treasure that they might not be able to exchange for even if they sold half of the Northern King city. That thing might even make even the 11th or 12th level strongmen jealous. However, Su Jie used it so recklessly and poured it all into the body of the Northern King that was about to decay. The body that had already begun to stiffen gradually regained its vitality. The body that was about to become a puppet gradually regained its vitality. Until the eldest princess's body became bright and beautiful, pure and innocent. Her talent was raised to a terrifying level. At least even if she only knew how to sleep every day, she could easily reach the peak level of level 10. As long as she worked a little harder, she could also reach level 11. This was a terrifying talent. At the same time, the King of the North, who should have died and gave his own talents, and power to his daughter, now gained even more terrifying combat power. Just because, under the stunned gaze of all the maids and princes and princesses present, the King of the North actually went from being old and dying to being rejuvenated and incredibly directly promoted to the ranks of level 11 strong men. The people had no doubts at all, and even believed it. Su Jie might not be strong, but in fact he was very strong. In other words, if you say Su Jie is weak, they will believe it. If you say Su Jie is strong, they will believe it. It's because everyone present has witnessed how Su Jie used his own methods to create a level 11 peerless strongman almost from scratch. Even with such a good foundation as the Northern King, it is not something that ordinary people can do. To put it bluntly, in everyone's cognition, I'm afraid that even a level 13 strongman can hardly do this. In fact, these people are right. I'm afraid that an ordinary level 13 strongman may not be able to do this. Even Su Jie can't always do this. After all, Su Jie also paid some price. Even a lot of precious medicinal materials were used to achieve this step. The process is easy. But medicinal materials are not something that falls from the sky. Although it is not bleeding, Su Jie still feels some pain in his heart. But the reward is also very obvious. Let's not talk about the gratitude of the King of the North on the surface. And the gratitude between those princes and princesses with potential and qualifications. After all, like this kind of imperial family with family affection, they usually attach great importance to favors. Let's not talk about these benefits on the surface. Let's not talk about anything else. As long as he wants, whether it is this princess or the King of the North, they can be refined by Su Jie alone and become reliable puppets. Even Su Jie could control these two people directly. And after following him in battle, he would release them. During this period, the two people would not have any memory of the battle. Therefore, Su Jie could control these two people completely, and even prevent them from finding out. Of course, Su Jia would not do this, as it was too risky. If you can get true love, there is no need to use these shameful means. And Su Jia soon felt that these things were not wasted because of the actions of these people in front of him. As the king of a country, at this time, the king of the north was so excited that he almost knelt down. Fortunately, Su Jia was quick to help him up. Su Jia appreciated this kindness. But Su Jia also knew that this was probably the other party's means of accommodation. If he couldn't accommodate him, he would accommodate allies. And this northern king is indeed a cunning old man. He probably already understands the value of Su Jia. But the northern king probably never thought of him. Su Jia is probably not someone the northern king can subdue. Su Jia did not directly show his strength. But the hand he just showed was enough to prove that Su Jia has the corresponding ability. And the northern king probably knows it. Although Su Jia did not show any backhand. But the northern king probably knows it. He was afraid that he would never be able to defeat this little guy who seemed to be only level 5 in his life. Of course. Was Su Jia really a little guy? This was still in doubt. But at least it proved that they in Beiwang City had to win him over. Even at the necessary moment. It was not a bad idea to bow down. Because the Beiwang did not know Su Jia's strength. But he knew Su Jia's ability too well. Too terrifying. Perhaps only the Beiwang himself could know how bad his situation was just now. And how powerful Su Jia's methods were. The Beiwang had no doubt that Su Jia could forcibly upgrade this old guy who was on the verge of death, and at the peak of level 10 to level 11. The king of the north really didn't believe that Su Jia couldn't upgrade an ordinary, healthy, and middle-aged level 10 peak strongman to level 11. This also proves that, apart from anything else, as long as the little guy in front of him is willing, there will be countless level 10 peak strongmen willing to die for Su Jia. Therefore, although Su Jia is just standing here alone now, but the king of the north has put the other party on an equal footing with himself. No! Put him on a position that is many levels higher than himself. This is self-knowledge. And it is also the reason why he, the king of the north, can still occupy a country in the hands of this powerful man, who is now as strong as level 15. At the same time, the king of the north is also a little anxious. Now, he has become a level 11 strongman. And he needs to quickly stabilize his realm. At the same time, the North King also gave birth to an ambition that he had never had before. In fact, except for him, the North King, the other 3 kings, the 3 kings of the East, South and West are all in their prime and at the peak of level 10. Although their combat experience is not as experienced as his. But young people can always fight to a draw with their older generation of strongmen with their passion and youth. Even if he does not use some of his background and killer moves, he cannot beat any of the other 3 kings. But because of this, the North King, who has successfully become a level 11 strongman at this time, is a little urgent. He is a little afraid that Su Jia will bring this ability to the other 3 kingdoms. But the king of the north did not dare to stop it. Therefore, the king of the north had to have a thought in his mind. Should I do it? Strike first? Of course, the king of the north did not dare to do too much beyond the limit. At the same time, the king of the north had already regarded himself as Su Jia's subordinate, and Su Jia as his superior. Thinking so, he had known something about Su Jia before. After all, this was a matter concerning his daughter. How could the king of the north not know about Su Jia? Although Su Jia's appearance and existence were sudden. But the king of the north knew a little bit about Su Jia's needs. It was nothing more than the practice method and some knowledge he wanted. It seems that he can meet all of Su Jia's needs. But in fact, the king of the north is not very happy. Because it means that not only he can meet it, but many people can meet it. It is said that the best friends are bound by interests. However, he needs Su Jia. But Su Jia does not need him. This makes the king of the north feel a sense of crisis. However, the king of the north probably does not know Su Jia's next plan. Otherwise the king of the north would probably not feel a sense of crisis. After all, one wants to win over, and the other wants to be a subordinate. To put it bluntly, if you can become a subordinate of a strong man, you must be a subordinate of a strong man. Who doesn't want to? The premise is that the strong man is very powerful. Not only can he give enough benefits, but also can give enough respect. However, can an ordinary level 2 existence really give the king of the north such benefits? Obviously, this is impossible. But here in Su Jia, it can be realized. In fact, to put it bluntly, let alone a level 10 strongman, an ordinary mortal, as long as the conditions are met, They can be respected in Sujia's forces. This is the goal that Sujia strives for. This incident is considered to have come to an end. Sujia has also collected the energy he needs. In fact, in other words, Sujia is using equal exchange. All the power that the king of the north left to his daughter was actually taken away by him Sujia. What was left was only some dregs. And Sujia took the essence. Plus the power of Alice's ancestors. That is, the power of Alice's father. And the power of the northern king now. Sujia has accumulated enough resources and energy to relax and advance to level 12. Of course, it seems that Sujia, is like a profiteer, charging so much. In fact, for both Alice and the eldest princess, the daughter of the northern king, it is a very cost-effective deal. The reason is also very simple. Sujia, still said that he adheres to equal exchange. He took away the power of this world, and naturally left his own power. That's right. Now, both Alice and the eldest princess seem to have absorbed the power of their fathers. But in fact, the power in their bodies is left by Sujia. It's just that ordinary people can't see it. And those who can see it, I'm afraid that by then, Sujia's 10,000 clan hall and other forces have already come to this world. And they are not afraid of being exposed. What's more, there is another benefit to having Sujia's power in the body. Just like being killed by Sujia, you will automatically enter Sujia's Pure Land world. These bodies have the power of the world created by Sujia. After death, they will go directly to the world where Sujia is. Just like the play played in front of Li Hao before. Those who died were killed by him. Sujia. Therefore, Sujia, could bring them to the Pure Land and then revive them directly. As for those who were killed by others, Sujia, had to pay some price. This can also draw a conclusion. Those killed by him, Sujia, no matter what level or energy level, bringing them into the Pure Land does not require any cost. Even the slightest cost. This is the benefit. It is also the bug level ability of the Pure Land. But if they did not die in the hands of him, Sujia, or if Sujia, did not use the Pure Land world to wipe them out and directly cut them away. Wanting to take it away is like fighting with a powerful opponent and forcibly absorbing the opponent's power in a fierce battle. This consumption is double, or even triple. It is not surprising that it is even more exaggerated. Of course, as long as it is not forcibly plundering opponents of the same level. Even if it is a level weaker than Sujia, a level 10 strongman, Sujia wants to forcibly collect it into his Pure Land world. Sujia can also withstand it. This is the advantage of the current ancient god body. Not only does it have a large range of energy storage, attack, defense and other aspects can almost be called a hexagonal warrior. However, many ancient gods cannot do this. This is why Sujia came up with the idea of killing gods. Many ancient gods actually specialize in one thing and reach the pinnacle. But Sujia requires all-round hexagonal progress. After all, if there is no all-round crushing of ancient gods, without fighting across levels, the ancient gods will not have the confidence. Even if Sujia and Hongyi and others are not online and are locked at the level 15 limit, it is impossible to fight with the ancient gods. After all, don't look at the current maximum combat power level of this universe, which is locked at level 16. It's just a level. Many things cannot be judged by level. At least not just by level. In other words, after level 11, level is not so important. Of course, it is only relative. After all, a high level has an innate advantage. But many people who have reached the pinnacle can fight across the boundary. And this will be fully demonstrated at level 15. Some level 15 strongmen are even out of breath when killing some level 13 opponents. Some level 15 gun slaughter, while level 15 opponents of the same level are as easy as taking something out of a bag. Of course, there are many hidden mechanisms in this. But Sujia believes that he will definitely slaughter people of the same level at that time. As powerful as slaughtering dogs. And level 16 is naturally the same reason. This is divided into many watersheds. Level 10 to level 11 is a watershed. Level 12 to level 13 is another watershed. And level 15 to level 16 is another watershed. Standing between no watersheds and fighting across classes is possible. In other words, it is impossible for ordinary level 12 or 11 wallpapers to defeat level 13 wallpapers. If you can defeat a level 13 strongman at level 11, It means that when you become a level 13 strongman, you have hope to fight the ancient god. This is a realm that even Sujia has not achieved, so you can imagine how difficult it is. But for some of the ancient gods in the past, many of them did it before they became ancient gods. This is the benefit of concentrating on one point and reaching the pinnacle. However, the risk is also great, and Sujia understands it. It is nothing more than a glass cannon similar to the world of spirit weapons. In the passionate exchange of seconds, a level 11 strongman can even kill a level 13 opponent. However, that kind of tolerance rate also makes this level 11 strongman strong on the outside but weak on the inside. It is very likely that some level 10 strongmen with stronger strength can fight across levels. The premise is a sneak attack. But he, Sujia, is different. He is currently at the peak of level 11. But when facing a level 13 strongman, Sujia thinks that he probably can't defeat the opponent. But the opponent can never kill him. Sujia. Yes, it is absolutely impossible. Because except for the strength level, he is almost the same as level 13 in all other aspects. And he, Sujia, is about to reach level 12. In addition, the cultivation moves of multiple worlds are integrated. When he, Sujia, reaches level 12, even if there is a watershed between level 12 and level 13, he, Sujia, is not afraid. Because when he, Sujia, reaches level 12, even a level 15 opponent can't kill him. Sujia. Defeat is definitely possible, but he can't kill. And when he, Sujia, successfully reaches level 13, at that time, Sujia could confidently and arrogantly declare to the world, below level 16, he is invincible. Yes, even the reincarnation of the ancient gods. As long as there is no cosmic power of the rule system, they will never be able to defeat him. Sujia. Because he, Sujia, not only has the power and attack moves of a glass cannon, he also has various injury-free mechanisms that are famous for defense. Needless to say, agility and mental strength. This makes Sujia seem mediocre. But he is only mediocre in comparison and benchmarking with some geniuses. But geniuses all have shortcomings. You all have shortcomings too. There are always some more or less. But he, Sujia, does not have even the slightest shortcomings. Therefore, after Sujia left the Northern King and the Great Princess and briefly chatted with the Greta family, he decided to formally retreat. And this time, Sujia did not retreat in a small dark room. Instead, he plunged directly into the universe and entered a dead star for retreat. And after this successful retreat, it was also the last period of his wretched years. Level 12. It was his weakest period. And when he reached level 13, even if the ancient gods came, it would be useless. Therefore, Sujia became more cautious and careful. The next time, when Sujia reached the peak of level 12, and was about to step into the threshold of level 13, it was the time to go to war with the 6 realms. And by then, it would definitely cause a sensation in the entire universe. After all, this is a battle between the forces of a 15th level strongman. At that time, Sujia no longer concealed his identity and his own forces. He wanted to show all his desires and ambitions nakedly. However, Sujia believed not all people would be his enemies after hearing his desires and ambitions. This world not only interests, there are also ideals. At the same time, when Sujia left this planet, everything is still going on. People seem to live and work in peace and contentment. But they are also oppressed. Countless people are making progress towards becoming stronger. Some people carry a heart of revenge. Some people have great ambitions. And with Sujia's retreat, a new era is about to begin. Is it the fall of a rising star? Or the new century of the universe? Time passes slowly. When Sujia revived again, the outside world also ushered in huge changes. Because the Northern King successfully got rid of the boundary of life and death, in addition to the extension of life and strength. At this time, the Northern King city has become the strongest force in the 4 major royal cities. And this is all thanks to the existence of Sujia. At the same time, many forces have looked for Sujia in the years when Sujia disappeared. Obviously, intelligence from many parties has been dug out. The reason why the king of the North King city went a step further was obviously because of Sujia's existence. Some people might want to put Sujia under house arrest or capture him. Some people wanted to beg. But without exception, because Su Jie suddenly disappeared. Even the forces of the North King City, who had told the King of the North, and said a few words, that they were going to retreat, together with the forces of the other 3 king cities. They all became alert. They were alert to whether Su Jie was caught by the people of the other 3 forces in their eyes, and was secretly under house arrest. The war was also imminent, because of Su Jie alone. This war was not the previous battle for the kingship. It was just used for oppression and intimidation. But this war seems to be full of blood. It is obvious. Everyone is thinking, if one of the forces really hides Su Jie, then, given the time, and the strength that Su Jie has shown so far, even if the Northern King, who has become a level 11 strongest, cannot make further progress, I am afraid that he will create a second level 10, or even level 11 strong man in the short term. Therefore, in addition to the Northern King City, the 3 king cities in the east, west and south all united to resist the Northern King. The 3 peak level 10 strong men have not yet transformed on the team. And there is only the level 11 Northern King of the Northern King City. The 2 sides barely tied. At this moment, Su Jie had no idea how much war he had caused because of his retreat. Of course, even if he knew, he would not care. After all, the war he commanded was much more grand than the current battle of the 4 King City. The Northern King War of the 4 King City was just for profit. But the war he led was about the survival of the race. In addition, during the period when Su Jie was about to recover, the world of spirits finally ushered in unification. The ruler of the world of spirits. You are the female sword god who finally compromised, and is willing to join the 10,000 Races Hall held by Su Jie. In this regard, the 10,000 Races Hall has once again added a group of new powerful forces. Also because the immortal emperor of the Xiaoxian Great World has also successfully promoted to a level 11 strongman. At this time, even if Su Jie is not there, there are 2 level 11 strongmen in the 10,000 Races Hall. Let me say something off topic. At this time, Han Yi also successfully promoted to level 10, although it is only a beginner. But the combat power is probably not much worse than that of an ordinary level 11 strongman or even a level 11 peak strongman. And the strength of those close friends in the Han Yi world is also uneven. But most of them have reached level 6 and above. Among them, the herdsmen and the original Fate twins have also reached level 9 one after another. And In Ruoro, a veteran level 11 warrior, was successfully promoted to level 12. It can be said that at this moment, the 10,000 Races Hall has successfully transformed into a top force that can stand on equal footing with the Galactic Empire. Perhaps the Galactic Empire does not have any individual high-end combat power, but the advanced technology is enough to crush any civilization below level 12. And the level 12 is well known. So the Galactic Empire is naturally not in vain. But at this moment, the 10,000 Races Paradise has grown to this point in a short period of time. And you can imagine how terrifying it is. The next step is naturally the 10,000 Races Hall, which will take the lead in heading to the 6 Realm Star region. Then, the Galactic Empire will come to join soon. After the integration of the Immortal Civilization and the Technological Civilization, Su Jie was promoted to a level 12 Ancient God level warrior. At that time, he, Su Jie, and the forces behind him completely reached the level of level 13 civilization. They also successfully became the top forces in the universe, even if he faced the territory of the forces controlled by the level 15 warriors alone. As long as they were not the best among the level 15 warriors, Su Jie should not be inferior. The 6 Realm Star region happened to be a not-so-outstanding area among the level 15 warriors. Therefore, everything seemed to be under control. Not to mention, there was another person who was raised by Su Jie. And now, he is successfully promoted from level 8 to the peak of level 9 without knowing it. Li Hao is not too far away from facing the decisive battle. Yes. At this time, Li Hao seems to be the real genius. He used less time. He hardly got much help from Su Jie. It was in this completely free-range state. Li Hao relied on his talent and strong luck to successfully become a top-tier strongman. Su Jie gradually opened his eyes in seclusion. Slowly recovering, he also decided, the next goal is to help Li Hao deal with all the things. Then, gather all the power that can be unified. Go directly to war with the 6 Realm Star region. That is, the civilization controlled by the 15th level strongman. At the same time, this war will shock the entire universe. And by that time, he, Su Jie, will have no way out. Therefore, Sujia also knows that he must be cautious. Even more cautious. Before, even if he failed, he had a backup plan. But if he goes to war with the top 15th level forces this time, once he fails, he will definitely be watched by the ancient gods. It is conceivable that once he is watched and discovered by the ancient gods, his backup plan, that is, the Pure Land world, will be exposed. In other words, he, Sujia, can make a comeback from the previous failures. And he doesn't feel bad at all. But if he fails this time, he will lose all chances of a comeback. This will be a very risky move. You can try a plan with both risks and benefits. Therefore, Sujia decided to maintain the stability of high-end combat power no matter what. High-end combat power refers to himself, Sujia, including his master Inruoro and others. Sujia felt that there was still hope to fight against a civilization of level 13 or even level 14. But that's all. Therefore, the Galactic Empire must be exposed. The previous war between the two civilizations is now a plan that cannot keep up with the changes. Originally, it was thought of reasonably annexing and developing, at least in the entire universe. It has a good reputation, slowly accepting various forces, and preparing for the ancient gods' war of killing gods. But now, everything is moving too fast. In addition, the potential of the 10,000 races hall seems to be greater than that of the Galactic Empire in all aspects. And his 10,000 races hall seems to have a good reputation. Using this to complete the Galactic Empire is not so good. It is better to say that the Galactic Empire achieves the 10,000 races hall. After all, to put it bluntly, the Empire is a synonym for evil. But the 10,000 races hall is full of tolerance, and the meaning of embracing all rivers. So, in this war, Sujia didn't know how much he would lose, although he had the Pure Land in his hands. But if too many people died, then it would be a huge project to resurrect. Fortunately, this time, he finally didn't have to hide it. With the help of the technological civilization of the Galactic Empire, the time required to resurrect the warriors will be greatly reduced. If only 100 or so people could be resurrected a day before. But if the Galactic Empire joined, it is not a dream to resurrect thousands, or even nearly 10,000 people a day. This is the power of the Galactic Empire. Before, the Galactic Empire only mass-produced various combat weapons and biological weapons with little IQ. But this time, with the help of the Pure Land world, this ability will give those combat weapons and biological weapons without IQ autonomous combat capabilities and wisdom more possibilities. Whether it is war planning or various plans, as well as autonomy, they have been improved by more than one level. If a demon clan, that is, a biological weapon team, could only capture a city of the first level civilization before, they would be killed. But this time, with the addition of biological intelligence, it is not impossible for a demon clan team to destroy the first level civilized planet. As you can imagine, wisdom is a terrifying thing. Not to mention that the ones who inherited this wisdom are the heroes who have experienced death once. In other words, you let a creature without any intelligence attack a planet with a lower level of civilization. The outcome is still unknown. The possibility of failure may even be a little greater. But if you let Hong Yi fight against a planet with a lower level of civilization alone, then you can imagine how desperate the fate of that planet will be. There is not much possibility of a comeback. Even if there is, it is very small. Not to mention starting any war. Sujia will never delay the main road and let only one person go. In addition, those who join Sujia's army will never betray him. After all, everyone knows that even if they are killed, they will never feel pain, and they will be happy after death. Although it is similar to some cult ideas. But it is the truth. Actually, let me say something unpleasant. If others obtain Sujia's ability, I am afraid they will not go to the trouble of establishing the autonomy of the Dream World and the Pure Land World. It is likely that the souls, after being killed, will be directly used as nutrients for the Pure Land. Then after they die, they will sleep directly in the Pure Land World, instead of coming to another world. The consumption is huge. But Sujia has no regrets. Let's be realistic. And the period of drug prohibition. The current rules. After death, if there is no possibility of queuing up to resurrect to the real world in a short period of time, then you can choose to live in the Pure Land world as if you were in the real world. But you cannot kill anyone. At the same time, people who move freely in the Pure Land world can choose to go to the Dream World at any time to realize their ambitions. In other words, You can daydream at any time. In this way, you can live and realize your ambitions while waiting in line for the possibility of resurrection to the real world. It is a huge planet that is completely the same as the real world. No one has any superpowers. They are just ordinary people. But once you choose the dream world, or you can say that you live peacefully on a planet, the order and rules on the planet are completely set by Su Jie himself. Occasionally, Hong Yi will intervene, but he will not modify the rules of each level. And that world is completely equal. And there is no worry about food and drink. You can have almost anything you want. At the same time, if you want to realize your ambitions, you can enter the dream world like game directly like sleeping. Then you can do whatever you want. And you can even make your wishes come true. Then if you feel that living in this world is boring, or you are tired of it, then you can apply to queue up to come to the real world and let more people join. Or come to the real world and do something you are interested in. At the same time, you can also display your various ideals. As for the evil people, unlike the dream world, the extremely evil people will enter the nightmare world. Any pain they inflict on others will be experienced 100 times in the nightmare world. If you kill a person, your memory will be cleared, and you will reincarnate the experience of the person who was killed 100 times. After losing your memory, you will reincarnate 100 times. After recovering your memory, you will reincarnate 100 times. After 2 experiences, you will be reincarnated again and again according to the number of people you killed and the degree of torture and pain. 1 person is 100 times. If someone slaughters the people of a planet for no reason, the number is terrible. At the same time, if you just slaughtered the people of a planet in an instant, or directly detonated the entire planet, then the pain is not so bad. Or there is almost no pain. But if it is the kind of torture and evil taste, after 100 reincarnations, the mental torture for a person and a soul is terrible. Therefore, there is also a kind of nightmare world. If you kill a person and make him feel no pain, then the punishment is almost the same as no punishment. But if the torture is so painful, it will be 100 times more. This is why many of his subordinates, those who were reincarnated as demons, had almost no happy expressions when they killed their opponents. But Su Jie still did it. This is why many people are willing to follow him. Because some wallpapers also understand the falsehood of the dream world. But at least now Su Jie has not waited for that opportunity. Or it can be said that he has not yet reached the point where the ancient gods can take him seriously and value him. Generally speaking, under normal circumstances, the ancient gods are not fools. But the appearance of Su Jie and his crazy speed of progress are like you cooking a meal. Then you go out to wash your hands. When you come back, you find that not only has the meal become a spirit, but it can also turn around and kill you. Su Jie is currently in this state. The meal on the plate in the eyes of the ancient gods has gradually grown into a threat to his existence. At this time, Su Jie began to expand his pure land while waiting. This is the foundation of Su Jie's life. Soon, Hong Yi arrived at the space station of the 10,000 Races Hall first because of his strong strength. But it seemed that it would take some time. In the vast sky of the northern King City, in the location where Su Jie specially tore the space crack as his retreat and hiding place, Su Jie suddenly looked fascinated and couldn't help but speak. This time is the end of all our preparations. Are you ready to do something big? Hong Yi looked at Su Jie so eager and excited. As an adult, Hong Yi, who was at least much older than Su Jie, was unusually stable. Hong Yi, who was originally extremely arrogant and overbearing, now looked like a leader, and said with a slight solemnity, "Are you sure you can fight against a level 15 strongman?" Hearing Hong Yi's words, Su Jie spread his hands as a matter of course. "No. In front of this level 13 heavenly punishment, I am afraid I will be killed instantly by a level 15 strongman." Although it is not so exaggerated, Su Jie really has no power to fight back, and can only run away. In other words, even if Su Jie has the body of an ancient god and the pure land world, he can only ensure that he will not die. This does not count the level 15 strongman, the other level 14 subordinates around him, and the level 13 Deadpool. Hearing this, Su Jie smiled to comfort Hong Yi. "We are all immortal. I will let the goddess hide well as a backup for our resurrection. What's more, those people have no room for improvement. But we still have room for improvement. And my room for improvement is greater than all of you." At this point, Hong Yi was Qin Sheng's consolation. "I know your plan. And I agree with your plan. But I still have to say one thing. Don't take risks. Although we all have unlimited opportunities for resurrection, the tolerance rate is also high. But if this best and perfect body dies, you must know the resources and time it takes to cultivate such a body. Let me tell you my opinion. This war is led by us and started by us. You hide behind and act according to the situation. By that time, all the resources we fight for will be tilted towards you. You hide behind the scenes. Wait for the level 15 strongman to appear. If you think you can beat him, then make a move. If you can't, just hide and escape as our last resort. I still say the same thing. Instead of hiding the Gai Shinshang as our backup for the Pure Land, it is better to hide you. Obviously, Hong Yi attaches great importance to Su Jia. In his opinion, it is unwise to let Su Jia follow them to fight head-on. If something happens to Su Jia, even if Su Jia can be resurrected, once this body is killed, it will be very difficult to turn over again. Any of them can be sacrificed. But Su Jia cannot be hindered in the slightest. Su Jia would refute it slightly. But Hong Yi does not care about him for the time being. What Hong Yi said does make sense. Thinking of this, Su Jia sighed and smiled helplessly. Of course what you said makes sense. But you have to think it through. I am the strongest. No, I am in the front. You have no room to display. Hong Yi, you are one of the earliest old people who followed me. You have to know. This world is not a world where you fight alone. If only I am strong. You will all die. Even if I am reborn through the Pure Land. As you said, it will be very difficult to improve to the current level. Then I will be left alone to fight alone. Do you think we still have a chance of winning? After all, whether it is killing gods or becoming an ancient god, I am thinking of several people including you. Hong Yi, to be promoted with me. My power is precious. But you are also my power. As soon as these words came out, Hong Yi was moved and helpless at the same time. But Su Jia took a deep breath and looked at Hong Yi seriously. What if something unexpected happens to me? I said, what if something unexpected really happens to me, and I can't be resurrected in the Pure Land? After all, our goal this time is very big. It is estimated that there will be a big commotion. As long as I take action, all the dangers and spearheads will be directed at me. I feel that if I really die, I am afraid that returning to the Pure Land will also be a little traumatic. If the ancient god takes action at that time, I will not even be able to return to the Pure Land. This is the power gap between the ancient gods and mortals. But I want to tell you, Hong Yi, although the bulk of the power is with me, take you and the Frost Woman. That is, the god. It is Will who is qualified to become the ancient god. If I fail this time, you and the god must find a way to survive. Don't expose yourself easily. This world cannot be restarted. I have recently figured out some of the laws of the ancient gods. At a certain point, the ancient gods will probably restart the universe. And all the currently known creatures will be transformed into energy and nutrients to nourish those ancient gods. And all you need to do is to find a way to escape to other universes before that. Or find a way to become stronger and become an ancient god. At least to protect those under our command. As for whether to fight or not, if I am alive, I will fight to the end. If I die, everything is based on survival. Hong Yi was silent for a while after hearing this, and finally uttered two words with a dry mouth and hoarse throat. I know. Blood world. Li Hao looked at the world that was about to be destroyed, and prepared to bleed the whole world to help himself become a soul king of level 11. The bodies of his dead friends were all around him, looking at his strongest friends and his father-in-law's clan. When the ancient beast clan was dying, they did not think of taking advantage of the Soul King, but sacrificed themselves and integrated the blood power into their bodies. Now, the earth collapsed and the sky was broken. The whole world was dyed blood red. Now, their world had experienced a war before, and now it was on the verge of breaking. Li Hao took a deep breath and made a decision in his heart. At present, he is powerless to save the world. The world is on the verge of breaking. He is the only one who can avenge his relatives, friends and partners. At the same time, Li Hao has another idea. As long as he can kill the Soul King in front of him, become the master of this world. In short, as long as he can find a way to survive, he will try to find the real body of his master. In addition to seeing if the master still has feelings for him, and whether the memory of his master's clone appears in the real body, Li Hao has another idea. At present, their world obviously has no ability to resurrect. But Li Hao has some expectations. And some earnest expectations. Now, Can these people who died for him be resurrected by their master's body? Therefore, with this breath in his heart, Sujia directly pierced his palm through his chest. Countless blood vessels were stimulated by Sujia's sudden situation. This is a life-consuming move. But Li Hao is not afraid. He simply spent all his vitality within 10 years. The benefits and advantages of compressing within 10 years are also due to sublimation. Li Hao gained extremely powerful power in a short period of time. As time went on, the Soul King successfully became a level 11 strongman. But Li Hao is not weak either. Of course, it is also the peak of level 10, or even half a step to level 11. In addition to the skills left by his master Su Jie, Li Hao is confident that he can fight against the Soul King who is absorbing the world in the sky. Boom! A loud noise broke out. The whole world is really on the verge of extinction. Countless lives are destroyed. Under this catastrophe, life is dying rapidly. Blood clouds flashed across the sky. Darkness enveloped the earth. A strong sense of fear filled everyone's heart. Death that could come at any time made everyone's heart break. At this time, Li Hao, the only one who could fight the Soul King, was hiding in a space crack, looking at the corpses of his companions who died to buy time for him and sacrificed themselves to give him strength. Li Hao's eyes were full of hatred. And in the sky, while destroying the world, he absorbed the power of the world. The Soul King, who was also looking for Li Hao, laughed wildly. How could the Soul King not know that when he really destroyed the world, he, the native of the world, would also die? But it was because he knew that the Soul King would do so. Because the Soul King's idea was very simple. He was going to destroy the entire world directly, but only retain the will of the world. After that, he would hide the will of the world in his body. Even though the world has not brought him any improvement in combat power. But he also lost a fatal weakness. At least others can't do anything about it. When he's not paying attention, they can destroy the planet and the world together to severely damage it and kill him. This is what a ruthless person does. There are many people in the universe who make such a choice. Or many strong people do this. It's rare for a Soul King to do such a thing and leave none of his fellow countrymen alive. Some strong people find a habitable planet first. After moving all the creatures on their original planet there, they destroy the world and refine the world's will and put it on themselves. Use this method to eliminate your weaknesses. But this will inevitably give individuals the choice of not being able to make further progress in the future. Because when the world is destroyed, even if the world will still survive, you, as a citizen under the will of this world, will be more or less affected. But the Soul King obviously doesn't care. In the eyes of the Soul King, a level 11 strongman is already the strongest in the world. It obviously doesn't matter whether he makes progress or not. In short, he can't have weaknesses. After all, a level 10 strongman gives him a certain amount of time. Or a level 10 strongman can destroy a world in a short time. The Soul King obviously can't let go of any similar opportunities. Today, the day of the destruction of the world. Today, when this king becomes a god, the declaration filled the whole world. But as the king of the Soul Clan, no one was happy on the day of his godhood. This Soul King even sacrificed all his family members and blood relatives. Even the most loyal subordinates were devoured by the Soul King. Who else could be happy for the Soul King to become a god? He could even kill the most loyal and devoted people to him. The closest people. This weak king even wiped out without blinking an eye. Such a demon. Let alone others. Li Hao knew that if he failed, other worlds would probably suffer a great disaster. Therefore, he had no choice. He resisted the urge to go out and save people. Most of the people who were close to him were dead. His family, friends, tribesmen and partners were all dead. Going out to save those irrelevant people now would obviously be like picking up sesame seeds and losing watermelons. It would be better to hold his breath and continue to hide in this space crack. Then accumulate his strength and wait for the opportunity to fight the Soul King. But Li Hao also knew that he probably couldn't hide for too long. The Soul King had already achieved the 11th level of God. Even if dozens of level 10 masters joined forces to block this space crack, the other party was an 11th level master after all. How could he hide for too long? After all, the Soul King, the 11th level expert, wanted to destroy the whole world. So how could he hide in this small space? Finally, almost half a day had passed. Countless experts, or most experts, had died. But the civilian experts could not help but stand up. Because everyone could see the wolfish ambition of the Soul King and his determination to destroy the world. Rather than waiting to die quietly, it would be better to take a deep breath and try to bite off a piece of flesh from the Soul King at the moment of death. At least the death should not be worthless. But just when all the civilian experts, even some 3rd and 4th level cultivators, were planning to bravely stand up and fight the Soul King, suddenly, someone shouted, "Who is that?" "It's Lord Li Hao." Lord Li Hao finally appeared. Lord Li Hao is our last hope. Countless people who were still alive were ecstatic when they saw Li Hao bursting out of the cracks in space. Countless people began to cheer. Many people may not know what kind of good person Li Hao is, but they know that the evil person like Soul King and those who can oppose Soul King are at least not very bad. In addition, Soul King is now preparing to destroy the world, and Li Hao is willing to stand up. Obviously, countless people regard Li Hao as their last straw. They were powerless to resist. But who could? Only Li Hao. Moreover, Li Hao had almost no record of war in these years. He won every battle. In addition, a considerable number of people knew what Li Hao was like. They were even more excited. Even those who did not know Li Hao's experience and character were soon educated by others. Therefore, more people cheered and looked forward to Li Hao's victory. But these people did not know it all. If the two of them started a war, this world would definitely be broken. No one would survive. Perhaps someone thought of this possibility, but they did not expose it, and did not give those ordinary people the opportunity to expose their fantasies. And they didn't seem to care at all, but were very excited. In other words, knowing that they would die, they hoped that Li Hao would win. Anyway, it shouldn't be a hateful executioner like Soul King, who not only became a level 11 strongman, but also faded away. On the contrary, if Li Hao became an absolute strongman, even if they died, it didn't matter. Although no one wanted to die, but no one wanted their enemies to live. If Soul King died with them, then a considerable number of people would be willing to accept it with peace of mind. At this time, Soul King also noticed the appearance of Li Hao. In an instant, Soul King's eyes were a little erratic. He looked at Li Hao again, and instantly concentrated. How is it possible? He is only at the peak of level 10. But he gives me the pressure of a level 11 strongman. Obviously, Li Hao gave Soul King a very dangerous aura. But Li Hao achieved this at the cost and resources consumed by him, which was no less than that of Soul King. Not only did all the Zerg sacrifice themselves, all the level 10 strongmen who were close to Li Hao were also willing to sacrifice themselves. This is different from the Soul King's way of killing and robbing energy. If a Soul King robbed a glass of water, he would probably only drink a few drops of water at the bottom of the glass. But Li Hao was different. Li Hao drank the whole bottle of water. One is robbing by force. The other is willing to pay. The energy volume obtained by the two people is completely incomparable. But because of this, the Soul King was instantly jealous and crazy, and his face became ferocious. Obviously, in the eyes of the Soul King, a young boy suddenly became equal to him, and even felt dangerous to him. How could the Soul King accept him with peace of mind? How could he tolerate it? Not to mention that before this, Li Hao was killed by him and fled like an ant. As a result, after not seeing each other for a few days, he was suddenly able to compete with himself. Without saying too much, it has only been more than 10 years since Li Hao rose to the present. For him, the Soul King, it was at most a period of seclusion. Even 10 years. For him, the time of seclusion was a little short. The result was an opponent comparable to the goal he had been striving for thousands of years. How could the Soul King accept it? In response, Li Hao suddenly sneered. Soul King, you are doomed. I will kill you with my own hands. And after I find my master, I will collect your soul and let you fall into endless torture and pain. Obviously, people with such a character as Li Hao also have ferocious faces and say such threatening words. It is conceivable how great the hatred of the Soul King for him, Li Hao, is. But the Soul King did not sneer as Li Hao said. On the contrary, he was somewhat apprehensive. Obviously, the Soul King had also heard about Master Li Hao. But soon, the apprehensive look on the Soul King's face disappeared. No other reason. In the Soul King's opinion, he had been able to create a clone before and easily killed a level 9 expert. No matter how powerful Li Hao's master was. How powerful could he be? At most, he was just another level 11 expert. To become a level 11 expert, one had to break a world. The Soul King really couldn't imagine it. or it was impossible for the Soul King to believe that there were level 12 experts in this world. Therefore, the Soul King was apprehensive. But he soon felt relieved. The reason is very simple. He went back to the king to understand the relationship between Li Hao and Li Hao's master. A clone cannot affect the decision of the original body. It is even more impossible for someone to be stupid enough to hate another person of the same level, or even a level 11 strongman, because of a mere apprentice. Therefore, in the eyes of the Soul King, even if Li Hao's master really comes in the future, he only needs to pay some price to eliminate the hatred between the two. Therefore, the Soul King will let go of his fear. At the same time, even if Li Hao can bring him a sense of threat, but Li Hao is only a half-step 11th level strongman after all. He cannot be compared with this perfect 11th level strongman. But this is just the wishful thinking of the Soul King. Don't forget. What is the technique that Li Hao practices? That is the life weapon that the spirit world uses to fight across boundaries. In addition to the energy essence provided by Su Jia and the existence of the Zerg, it can be said that Li Hao is now the first flesh under the body of the ancient god. The technique is top-notch, and the flesh is also top-notch. The only flaw is that there are some flaws in the mental power. But as long as Li Hao surrenders to Su Jia in the future, then after connecting to the Pure Land world, Li Hao's mental power will no longer be a shortcoming. It is conceivable that Li Hao, who is extremely excellent in all aspects, is compared with the Soul Emperor, who is extremely mediocre in all aspects. Even if he is level 11, the chances of winning for both of them were only 50-50. It was just that the Soul King did not notice this. But Li Hao obviously noticed it. But Li Hao did not care. Li Hao did not expect to win or lose. But Li Hao was ready to fight with all his strength. Whether he won or lost, he could accept it. Death was the only thing. But he, Li Hao, was also determined to try his best to avoid the outcome of failure. Otherwise, the sacrifices of so many people would be in vain. At the same time, Li Hao probably knew better than anyone that two level 11 strong men would fight against each other. There might be no living creatures left in this world. Therefore, Li Hao simply put one hand on his chest. Just now, he pierced his own chest, triggering the blood power of all the sacrificers. Now, there is still a lot of blood left in his chest. Then, Li Hao adhered to the principle of not wasting. Used the blood and spent a lot of power to create a space ball. The next moment, he threw it directly behind him, and began to absorb countless living creatures into the space ball. And Li Hao also made sufficient preparations. As long as the Soul King attacked at this time, he would try his best to entangle the Soul King. At least even if he died, he had to ensure that the space ball absorbed the power of the entire world and escaped before he died. Everyone who could survive was a good one. But the Soul King did not do so. He had no intention of stopping it at all. The Soul King just sneered on the other side, watching Li Hao's operation coldly. Obviously, Li Hao's operation seemed careless. But in fact, it was extremely stupid. At least in the eyes of the Soul King. This kind of consumption of his own strength, and consuming his own strength in the face of such a life-and-death battle, is undoubtedly a stupid behavior. The more humans left on the space ball, the more forests entered, the more power Li Hao spent. Why should he stop it? This opportunity to consume the opponent in vain is rare. The Soul King is even happy to see Li Hao make such a meaningless move. This way, his chances of winning will be better. Soul King has already thought about it. After he kills Li Hao, he will definitely hunt down this space ball and kill everyone. And killing everyone in this world will also kill him and destroy the evidence of his hometown. His reputation will not be bad. After it destroys everything, it will go to the next world or another world. Others will still respect him and flatter him. Therefore, Soul King doesn't care at all. The next moment, in the future, when protecting everyone and compressing into a space ball to transport all living beings out, Soul King finally made a move. And at the moment when Li Hao was about to throw the living beings in the space ball out, Soul King also saw the move and made a move directly, because he had already determined that Li Hao would not be able to consume much power next. Then there was no need for him to let Li Hao go and really send the creatures in the space group away. This was of no benefit to him at all. It would be better to ruin Li Hao's good things, make Li Hao angry and lose his composure, increase his chances of winning the battle, and hope for better results. The next moment, the two powerful creatures collided with each other. The space ball was just quietly suspended in the air. The creatures inside were also urging their own power to control the space ball to escape. While someone was observing this war, Space only seeks to escape, not to stay away in the superficial sense. Instead, it is escaping from the deep space. To put it in an analogy, you see the space ball appearing in front of you, but you can't touch it. It's like chasing the sun. It looks so far away, but you can never catch up. After reaching a certain level, the space ball will collapse, and it will directly appear in a corner of the universe in the form of a wormhole in the depths of space. And now, the holy spirits of the space ball are catalyzing their power to do this. Therefore, although it seems that there is no escape, it is actually far away. But all the strong people inside the space ball can still witness this unprecedented battle. Wind, thunder and clouds surge. The world is like the end of the world. The two strong men are equally matched and fight to the death. Many lives, many humans, and even creatures are trembling with fear. If it weren't for Li Hao's kindness to send them all into the space ball, they would have entered another layer of space and would not be affected by the battle at all. Otherwise, they would definitely die in this vast war. The aftermath alone is likely to kill a strong man of level 8 or 9. You can imagine how magnificent the magnetic field battle must be. Soon someone got excited. After all, the Soul King is just an 11th level godhood achieved by forcibly seizing the power of others. The heavenly King Li Hao who led us is someone that others are willing to pay for. And have you noticed? Li Hao Tian Wang is only at the peak of level 10. This is a battle between a peak level 10 and a level 11 supreme. And everyone should have seen that Li Hao is getting stronger and stronger. And there is a faint trend of promotion. Not only did this group of weaklings notice it, but even the Soul King noticed it. The Soul King, who was originally strolling leisurely and not in a hurry, also changed his face again and again at this time. Originally, he thought he would suppress Li Hao, but he didn't expect that the two of them were evenly matched. This is still under the premise that Li Hao consumed a lot of power to transport so many people. Doesn't this mean that if Li Hao didn't waste those unnecessary actions and movements before, he still had power? He replied, "Wouldn't I be beaten by such a young man?" Moreover, Li Hao had a tendency to advance, which made the Soul King more serious. He was only at the peak of level 10 and could fight him on equal terms. If he really advanced to level 11 Soul King, there was reason to suspect that he might be killed. But the Soul King was helpless. Now he had used all his skills, but still couldn't kill Li Hao. Of course, there were some powers and moves that required a price, and the Soul King was unwilling to use. But the Soul King also knew that if he didn't pay some price, he might fall. The next moment, the Soul King slapped Li Hao back with a palm. At the same time, he sneered arrogantly, "Li Hao, this king sacrificed thousands of lives to reach this level. Now, in order to kill you, I have to pay the price of silence for 3 years. You are proud enough." Obviously, the Soul King intends to use the price of his silence for 3 years in exchange for the conditions of killing Li Hao. The so-called silence for 3 years is actually a very dangerous move. During these 3 years, he, the Soul King, will only retain a tiny amount of mental power. But as long as there is a level 10, the primary gun can kill him. After thinking about it again and again, the Soul King decided to do so. Anyway, we will talk about it later. If he doesn't kill Li Hao now, then he will die. The next moment, the Soul King's aura became dark and deep, just like the deep void. Even the light was distorted and could not escape. Obviously, the Soul King planned to fight Li Hao directly, but Li Hao had a cold face, and suddenly opened his hands and laughed wildly. "Come back. After 10 years of wandering, I have realized the truth today. Soul King, today is the day you die." The next moment, as if he had comprehended something, he directly sacrificed 3 blood blades. This was the top secret killer move left to him by his master. It was also the target of countless people's sacrifice. Yes, countless friends and relatives of Li Hao, and even some strong people who were willing to invest in him sacrificed their lives on these 3 blood blades. Remember, when Su Jie gave Li Hao these 3 life weapons, they were all bright blue light. But now, they were full of blood and hatred. At this moment, Li Hao saw that the Soul King had such determination, and then he seemed to have realized something. The 3 blood blades were full of the breath of destruction. Instant, Li Hao shouted fiercely, 10 million blood spirits, return to your position." Instant, the 3 blood blades split into thousands. One after another, blood-colored red-robed figures emerged. Huiyun saw this, and his face suddenly changed, because when he looked carefully, He found that all those blood-colored figures died at his hands. Either they hated him, or they were killed by him. Now, all these blood shadows were revived by Li Hao. Even in this world of cultivation, the Soul King felt a little tingling. After all, the creatures he killed looked at the pale, bloodless eyes and lifeless eyes. All gave the Soul King an extremely uncomfortable feeling. And at the moment when the Soul King was surrounded by an uncomfortable feeling, the empty eyes of the blood spirits gradually regained some spirit. Gradually, in the space ball, under the shocked and stunned gaze of the people, those old people who had died in their eyes actually regained their spirit. Everyone seemed to be resurrected. Li Hao also laughed loudly at this moment. I know that the master has the means of resurrection. How can his apprentice not have such means? Having said that, this is obviously not a real resurrection. These phantoms are just reproduced by Li Hao through the appearance of those people in his memory before they died, and the appearance and image of those dead opponents in the memory of the Soul King. The strength of these blood spirits is also uneven. But one thing is certain. All of them have been strengthened. At least stronger than their strength before they died. The weakest has reached the minimum level of 6. And the strongest has reached the amazing peak of level 10. There are even quite a few blood shadows at the peak of level 10. The next moment, the blood shadows, whether they were loyal to the Soul King or hated the Soul King in their lifetime, at this time, they all recovered their spirits and used their proud moves and self-created skills. They killed the Soul King with brilliant moves. The surging rivers and seas, all the geniuses showed their excellent side at this moment. The Soul King was preparing for self-destruction, so it was impossible for him to be disturbed like this. In other words, the assassin Soul King had already prepared the process of exploding with Li Hao. But before really getting close to Li Hao, the Soul King naturally couldn't explode. Therefore, the Soul King could only kill these blood shadows himself. But the more he killed, the weaker the blood shadows were. The Soul King was shocked to find that he could not kill them in batches. These blood shadows seemed to be not restricted by energy, and could only be killed with bare hands. But soon, the Soul King was shocked to find that after killing them with bare hands, these blood shadows would be resurrected quickly. His eyes flashed with the geniuses he had killed one after another in the past, who now turned into blood demons and came to claim his life. The Soul King suddenly roared in anger. You losers! Get out of here! The illiterate suddenly clenched his fists, and the next moment, the whole fist exploded. The extremely black blood energy burst out in a ring. Countless blood shadows were killed. But soon, one after another, all the blood shadows recondensed beside Li Hao. Li Hao, who is always standing on the side of justice, looks like another demon at this time. War between the two devils. But the people of the space are still praying silently. Although, perhaps in the eyes of some passers-by, Li Hao was like the real devil. After all, black is at least bloody. But at this moment, Li Haochuan was blood red. And he was like a devil's bloody shadow, living as a villain big boss vision. But who can think of this as the real savior? Countless people watched this spectacular scene. Some people even looked at their old friends, who were killed by the Soul King with tears in their eyes. They even saw that the Soul King couldn't completely kill those bloody shadows even after he exploded himself. Those bloody shadows were moved and cheered after they recondensed around Li Hao. But the Soul King finally couldn't bear it anymore. At this moment, he maintained the trend of self-explosion and reached the limit. Originally, he wanted to grab Li Hao's throat directly and report it to Li Hao. But now, he has lost a palm. At the same time, the Soul King also felt that there was almost no difference between close range and such a long distance. Of course, and his Soul King's self-explosion was not the so-called real self-explosion. He just emptied all his essence and strength and directly killed Li Hao. And his strength would be directly weakened to be extremely weak. He could not beat a strong man of level 8 or 9. But he only needed to find a space crack to hide. And he would recover his peak strength in 3 years. He even only needed to recover for a month to have the strength of a strong man of level 9 or even 10. Therefore, the Soul King did not care about the cost afterwards. The next moment, the Soul King, who was all black, was radiating like a black demon from hell. He stepped into the void with one foot and swung the black shadow long sword fiercely. The whole person rushed towards Li Hao like a cannonball. The bloody creatures that passed by were killed one by the Soul King, and they rushed up one by one. But this time no one could stop the Soul King from advancing. The power of the king who exploded reached its peak this time, and it was too terrifying. But Li Hao sneered at this time. Do you think you are the only one who can burn your own flesh? Hearing what Li Hao said, the Soul King did laugh. He rushed towards Li Hao and sneered. You burned all the aided people at the beginning. What qualifications do you have to talk to me about this? But Li Hao's face suddenly flashed a trace of ferocity. The next moment, the whole person became more blood red, as if the space around him was distorted. The blood color spread even more, which also made the Soul King who rushed over change his face. At the same time, the Soul King, whose face was uncertain, hesitated to decide whether to continue to rush over. The reason was also very simple. This madman had originally burned all his lifespan, and only had 10 years left. Now he was even more crazy, and he actually planned to burn out the most essence and the most vigorous vitality of the remaining 10 years. This was obviously a move to pull him back to the king to die together, and the Soul King was obviously frightened by this move. Obviously, in the eyes of Rednet, Li Hao was now doomed to die. Not only could he not rush over, but he had to think about how to prevent Li Hao from exchanging one for one with him. At the same time, countless people in the space sphere burst into tears after seeing Li Hao's appearance. Everyone knew that if the two people died together, then the people in their space sphere would be safe and sound. If Li Hao won, they would also be safe and sound. But only the Soul King survived. Even if they could escape for a while, they could not escape forever. All the relatives and friends around Li Hao died, and Li Hao still fought so hard, obviously for them, even if there was hatred in it. But when Li Hao made that unnecessary move of protecting them and sending them away, people knew Li Hao had a kind heart. When the Soul King saw Li Hao burning quickly again, the next moment, it seemed as if something had broken. That was Li Hao breaking through the shackles and successfully reaching the ranks of level 11 strongmen. This directly stunned the Soul King, and he was even more afraid of fighting. What Hui Wang didn't expect was that Li Hao, whose lifespan continued to increase due to the upgrade, actually burned all the lifespan that increased due to the level increase. In an instant, the Soul King was frightened. It is obvious that when Li Hao became a level 11 strongman, he, the Soul King, had little chance of winning. As a result, Li Hao was so crazy that he continued to burn his lifespan just to kill him. Originally, he had a glimmer of hope to escape when he returned to the king. But now it seems that there is no hope, because the king was horrified to find that these blood-colored creatures surrounding him, some of them have reached level 11. In other words, it was difficult for him, the Soul King, to deal with the blood-colored creatures created by Li Hao, let alone Li Hao himself. But the Soul King suddenly became ferocious at this time. Since I can't live, you will all be buried with me. The next moment, the Soul King didn't care and released everything in his body. Only you, Li Hao, dare to burn your lifespan. Right? Anyway, I can't live anymore. So let's just die together. With this idea in mind, the Soul King burned everything he had, and the black flames burned the earth. The Soul King was ready to direct his attack at the world under his feet. As long as this world was destroyed, no one would be able to survive. This scene also made Li Hao, who was originally in high spirits, change his face slightly. Obviously, compared with the madness of the Soul King, Li Hao was more or less hesitant. After the Sword Soul King actually killed the world, Li Hao no longer hesitated and acted decisively. It is obvious that when the Soul King gave up his hope of survival and turned crazy to die together, Li Hao was stage frightened. When the dark and thick black flames rushed to the whole world, when all the humans and beasts in the space ball changed their faces, the attack hit Li Hao, who was blocking the whole world. This scene instantly made the Soul King look very happy. He didn't have the courage to destroy himself, but he had the courage to take a gamble. Obviously, when Li Hao rushed over and caught his move to destroy the world, the Soul King knew he won the bet. Ha ha ha. You little brat. You are still young after all. Even if you are so strong, without the blood spirit to help you fight, you can't take my killing move. I don't believe you can survive. A ruthless look flashed across his face. The Soul King's pupils turned black in the end. In a moment, under close contact, the Soul King pulled Li Hao to self-destruct together. Then, the silent annihilation began. The world planets, the universe, and the space ball that had already gone to another space were also affected. Everything turned into nothingness. And no external forces knew about this battle between the two gods. And the world that had already cut off the potential of the 11th level road also disappeared silently at this time. As for whether the world will be destroyed, there is no way to know. No one knows. Only, at this moment, Sujia, who was discussing some plans with Hong Yi, suddenly frowned. The next moment, he casually summoned a soul from the Pure Land world. Then he touched his chin and thought, failed? The small piece of pure land I left in that bloodline world before has grown wildly. The world there has been so weak that it can be absorbed by my pure land. It is obvious. Sujia left some tricks. His so-called tricks are that when that world is destroyed, or when the world has been weak to a certain extent, that world will be directly absorbed by the Pure Land world he is in through the Pure Land channel he left behind. And all the souls of the creatures that have died in the past, and in the future, will appear directly in his Pure Land. And now, there is more than one soul in his Pure Land. At the same time, there are two powerful souls that Sujia is very interested in. Not only that, Sujia also felt a lot of strange things. Then Sujia chatted with Hong Yi for a few words, and entered the Pure Land world directly. The next moment, Sujia saw an interesting scene. A very broken world was struggling. But Sujia waved his hand casually, and the world will directly turned into the purest power, and was absorbed by his Pure Land world. At the same time, countless souls in the blood world appeared in the Pure Land world. Countless people were still a little confused. Instead, Sujia walked directly to Li Hao with an expressionless face. At this time, Li Hao was also a little confused. But when he saw his master, a hint of joy flashed across his face. But Sujia frowned slightly. This look also made Li Hao's originally revealed joy somewhat bitter. Li Hao had already seen a rough idea. After all, his master's clone had already told him some things before leaving. And Li Hao was so smart that he guessed some things. He also guessed the will of the world, which might have become something in Sujia's hands. At the same time, they probably resurrected to the world of their master. Of course, whether the mysterious strong man in front of him was still his master was up for debate. But at this moment, a discordant voice suddenly sounded. Where is this place? Oh! Li Hao. You are still alive. The Soul King, who obviously hadn't distinguished between the big and small kings and didn't understand what was going on, wanted to attack. The agent waved his hand impatiently. And the 11th level gun Soul King, who was extremely powerful in the eyes of others, was instantly imprisoned. Ignoring the Soul King's terrified and incoherent expression, Sujia spoke directly under the stunned gaze of others. Good disciple, won't you explain to your master? As he spoke, Sujia's expressionless face suddenly showed Li Hao's most familiar smiling face. Instantly, Li Hao's eyes were red. Obviously, his master's clone skills played a big role in the main body. At least, his master still recognized him. The next moment, the leader who was extremely powerful in the eyes of others, the supreme and absolute strong man, the spirited young genius, like a child, threw himself directly into Sujia's arms with tears in his eyes. At the same time, he expressed endless grievances. He blamed himself for not being able to protect anyone. However, Sujia helplessly touched Li Hao in his arms, who was powerful but still pointed at a child in his arms, and kept stroking his head, while softly comforting him. Okay. Master is here for everything. And I think more people would rather chat with you than reminiscing with me. As the master, Sujia gently pushed Li Hao away and pointed at some figures around Li Hao. But Li Hao was stunned for a moment. He was stunned for a moment. Aren't those voices his dead parents? Companions who sacrificed for him? Fellow Taoists who died on the road of fighting for him? Obviously, everyone was resurrected. At least resurrected in this world. Compared to Li Hao's tears and enthusiastic reminiscing, the Soul King seemed to be a little miserable. Some of the strong men who were forced to be sacrificed by the Soul King showed disgust and cursed after seeing the Soul King imprisoned. At this time, the Soul King also had a look of daze on his face. He was imprisoned and looked confused. Sujia raised his eyebrows and walked to the side of the Soul King. Li Hao, who saw the scene, was a little hesitant to speak. To be honest, Li Hao wanted his master to just kill the Soul King. But after thinking about it, Li Hao couldn't say it after all. The reason was also very simple. He wanted to respect all the ideas of his master. What if the Soul King was useful to his master? After all, the Soul King was an 11th level strong man. He was willing to endure everything for his master, and help his master persuade those who were killed by the Soul King. After all, everyone was alive. Hatred and everything else are fine. Just put it aside for now. However, under Li Hao's somewhat unexpected gaze, Su Jia seemed to have ignored the so-called 11th level wallpaper and waved his hand casually. Okay. According to the legislation, good and evil will be punished. If the character is not up to standard, just kill him. Su Jia, still had some understanding of how to deal with this Soul King. This kind of person is too fence-sitter, which is more disadvantageous to him. Su Jia, then good. As for this so-called 11th level strongman, although Su Jia, did not have one on hand, he would not be licked by the face to comfort an old guy. At least the Soul King in front of him is not qualified. Li Hao was even more shocked at this moment. He really didn't expect that his master's original body was so generous. He didn't even take the 11th level strongman seriously. He didn't even think about winning him over, but directly judged good and evil. Li Hao knew that this Soul King was probably hopeless. The killing and sins committed by the Soul King, Li Hao understood more after coming to this Pure Land world. Even he had to enter this reincarnation world and suffer some torture. However, Li Hao was really wrong. The Soul King might not be completely wiped out. After all, in today's world, there are not many people who are light. If the Soul King can really hold on and enter the dream world, enjoy wealth and prosperity, and realize all his dreams, then, when the other party reaches the sage moment, he may not be unable to be used by Su Jia. But at the moment or in the short term, there may be no such opportunity. Su Jia is actually not afraid that his subordinates are all ambitious and selfish. As long as he enters the dream world and reincarnates for millions of years, all that should be realized will be realized. And then all evil deeds and selfish desires will be fully realized. The only thing left is probably the ideal and goal of life. This is also one of the benefits of the Pure Land. Haven't you seen that the strongest people in the Xioshan world have become good people now? It should be clear that the 10 strong people in the Xioshan world were thinking about refining the entire Xioshan world to achieve their goals. But when they easily achieve the goal of being able to live forever at will, and as long as they wanted, they could directly enter the dream world and realize everything they wanted. And all this was almost the same as the real world. These people naturally wanted to come to the real world to fight. And as long as Su Jia was pressing on these people, no one would dare to enjoy all the fun in the real world. The point is that it is unnecessary. And now, Li Hao also came to Su Jia and felt that his purpose and plan could be fully carried out. The next moment, Su Jia directly recruited Hong Yi and others into the Pure Land. He was not shy and asked directly, "Have you reached the Galactic Empire?" "Not yet." Su Jia frowned slightly after hearing Hong Yi's answer. "Too slow. Too slow. Li Hao can easily reach it." Although Li Hao's world was completely destroyed, at least he had gained the source of the world where Li Hao was because of the backup he left before. Now there are such a large number of souls coming to his Pure Land to strengthen his Pure Land. Afterwards, Su Jia left the Pure Land world directly, and looked at the space stations such as the 10,000 Races Hall that had slowly and densely infiltrated the Northern King's territory. Su Jia also led several level 11 subordinates, including Hong Yi, to find the Northern King without saying a word. At this time, the King of the North was really scared. No matter what. He was only a beginner of level 11. He had just entered level 11, and could not compete with the veteran level 11 masters with rich combat experience. When the King of the North saw Su Jia and the powerful strength displayed in his body, he understood it clearly. All the previous acts of Su Jia also became reasonable at this moment. Su Jia spoke directly about this. "We are here to conquer the 6 realm star field. Therefore, we plan to start the war with the King of the North as the starting point. If you, the lineage of the King of the North City, have no intention of fighting, you can take your relatives away from this border area. For the sake of our old friendship, I can let you go." Such a simple and clear showdown put the King of the North in a dilemma. To be honest, the King of the North is very entangled now. To be able to reach the current level of cultivation, the King of the North at least has some courage. He knows very well how much benefit he will get in the future if he follows Su Jia at this time. The premise is to win. However, at this moment, the King of the North can only feel the strength of the dog's 12th level strongman. Of course, Su Jia does not give him the feeling of a 12th level strongman at all. After all, it is not that he, the King of the North, has never seen a 12th level strongman. It is enough to prove that Su Jia's strength is definitely more than this. But the King of the North knew about the 6 realm star region. The strongest one was the legendary level 15 strongman. This was almost invincible. Among them, there were level 14 deployments. It could be said that the chances of winning were slim. As if seeing the King of the North's hesitation, Sujia waved his hand and said, "I have already told you whether you want to participate or leave. It's up to you." Then, Sujia also arranged the matters directly, and he casually sent 2 people to directly wipe out the other 3 king cities. When the Northern King realized that the 3 king city that had troubled him for many years was destroyed so easily, he also showed an indescribable complex expression. Sujia's decisive killing and powerful strength made the North a little scared. At the same time, he couldn't tell the current atmosphere. But Sujia didn't care about the things here at all. The strength of the Northern King, who was forcibly promoted, was really not good enough. Maybe he couldn't even beat the 10th level strongman. It didn't matter whether this kind of combat power was needed or not. It wouldn't play a big role anyway. Sujia never planned to rely on other forces. Only his own forces were enough to entrust his trust. Of course, it is not entirely true that they do not rely on other forces. Sujia does not believe that there is no wallpaper in the vast universe in this long timeline. And he feels frightened by the existence of the ancient gods. Or many ancient gods regard level 15 strongmen as their food, to enhance their own strength. At least Sujia believes that after a long timeline, there are definitely more level 15 strongmen. But the number of level 15 strongmen in the open can be counted on one's fingers. What does this mean? From Sujia's observation and exploration, the level 15 strongmen who really have ambitions are probably hiding themselves, or they are eaten as snacks by the ancient gods. Or the level 15 guns in the open are definitely the lackeys of the ancient gods. But no matter which one, there must be a battle between them, which is an indisputable fact. But those level 15 strong men who hide themselves just to seek an opportunity are the foreign aid that Sujia may win. Sujia is thinking that if those people don't fight for face and are willing to integrate into his Pure Land world, Sujia may be able to directly start the god-killing war in this battle. Of course, these are unexpected factors, and Sujia did not involve them in his main plan. It would be better if there were. Without him, Sujia also decided, or had confidence, become a god in this war. This time, almost everything is ready, and the Galactic Empire only needs to bring help in the middle of the battle. Therefore, Sujia directly started the war head-on. Of course, Sujia, has no martial virtue. And he also wants to show that he is going to start a war. He directly uses the land of the 4 kings as a starting point, and kills towards the central star of the 6 realms. On the front battlefield, Sujia will naturally not stay too long. He needs his subordinates to sublimate and upgrade in the battle. Strive to have 2 more helpers on the day he becomes a god. Once the level reaches above level 13, then the ancient god can still help him. Sujia. Although that is the case, those below level 16 are all ants, and they can't cause any harm in front of the ancient god. But that is the premise that no one is standing in front of him. And Sujia, only needs to grow up to the qualification to fight against the ancient gods. Then, all the strong men above level 13 can give him some help, provided that Sujia, can withstand all the pressure in front. Learn from this. Now, Sujia, is going to fight against the strong men of level 15. Any subordinates who can transcend level 10 and reach level 11 or even above can bring him considerable help. Apart from other things, the individual strength of his current 10,000 races hull can be called the strongest in the universe. The only thing that cannot be compared is the body of the ancient gods and the upcoming Galactic Empire. Although the power of technology is less mobile, its destructive and lethal power is also good. It can also bring good help to Sujia. At the same time, Sujia is not acting alone this time. He brought Han Yi, his master, and several outstanding immortal emperors in the Xioshan world to carry out the decapitation operation. At the same time, he tried to see if he could attract some foreign aid with the temptation of the Pure Land. Again, it would be good if he could attract foreign aid. After all, it is a combat force subsidy outside the plan. If he can't attract foreign aid, it doesn't matter. In the plan, Sujia has put himself on the opposite side of the whole world. Even this preparation has been made, so Sujia doesn't force it. At the same time, as long as he is tempted by Sujia's forbidden map, Sujia is not afraid of the other party's betrayal. The Pure Land world does have such an advantage, or it can be said to be an obvious benefit and an open plot. As long as you enter the Pure Land world, You can get everything you want. The only price is Sujiya can decide your life and death. To put it bluntly, the Pure Land world may not be able to accommodate the ancient gods. But once it reaches the point where it can accommodate the ancient gods, or when Sujiya grows into an ancient god, then even if an ancient god of the same level as him enters the Pure Land world, the life and death are in the hands of Sujiya. This can also be regarded as a hidden benefit of the Pure Land world. And this time Sujiya went to one of the few 14th level strongmen in the 6th realm star region. And this level 14 strongman is Sujiya, the target of this beheading team. The reason why the Immortal Emperor and other level 11 strongmen were not brought along is precisely because of this. The frontal battlefield actually needs the main force as well. Even though the level 11 strongmen on Sujiya's side of the 10,000 clans hall cannot be compared with other level 11 strongmen. But the strength of the level 13 strongmen is the best. Therefore, people at level 14 and above need Sujiya's beheading team to kill them. At this moment, when Sujiya and his group just arrived at the dojo of the level 14 strongman, they instantly locked onto the other party. At this moment, the war has just begun, and it is a surprise attack. Obviously, the news that his Sujiya's forces have started a war with the 6th realm star region has not been fully spread. Therefore, the arrival of Sujiya and his companions was totally unexpected by the 14th level warrior. Or the strength displayed by Sujiya and his companions was only 11th level after all. The 14th level warrior probably didn't take it seriously. After all, in the eyes of the 14th level warrior, as long as there were not 4 or 5 13th level warriors, there was nothing they could do to him. Not to mention this group of guys, who were not even 13th level, or even 12th level. But the arrival of Sujiya and his companions also made the 14th level warrior a little wary. However, before he could be alert to a certain extent, Sujiya and his companions rushed over directly. Hong Yi even summoned his own life weapon directly, and 10 black hollow balls were directly unfolded. The next moment, Sujiya also sacrificed 3 small black swords. Inruoro also took out the Book of the Great Tao. Block. Trap. Kill. Who is coming? Humph. A mere ant dares to offend. I will let you know the consequences of this trip. This level 11 strongman. Or in other words, the guy who is called the Sword King by ordinary people, snorted coldly, without any fear, and rushed directly. The next moment, the Sword King's face changed slightly. The 3 black swords rushed towards him. He wanted to resist them, but he felt a little threatened. However, before he could avoid the 10 black hollow balls, the huge gravity around him trapped him for a moment. At the same time, the light of the Book of the Great Tao shone, weakening his power. In an instant, 3 black swords stabbed him straight, and many other weapons attacked together. In just a moment, the Sword King understood that the group of level 11 strong men in front of him were definitely not ordinary people. As the King of Jin, who had lived for many years, and even the running dog of the ancient god, he naturally did not have much arrogance. Therefore, he only called for help in an instant. Gun King. Help! Gun King is his good friend. He is also a level 14 strongman. At the same time, the Sword King also called his disciples. You are other level 13 strongmen, and you plan to let them come here to help you. However, the blockade is no joke. Although they are all a group of level 11 blockades, they can be easily broken, but it will take some time. However, the Sword King sneered at this moment. He has the confidence to support that level. But soon, the Sword King suddenly became shocked and angry. The reason is simple. A sharp breath suddenly came from a distance. Help! Quick! Someone wants to kill me! At the same time, the Gun King suddenly let out such a terrified and angry cry. It was obvious that Sujiya had arranged that place. And the person who arranged that place was none other than Li Hao and his gang. At the same time, he, Sujiya, also allocated a good combat force to Li Hao and others. And most of Hui Wang's soul power was also allocated to Li Hao. Li Hao's current strength is also faintly approaching the trend of a 12th level strongman. In addition, most people in the Xiaoxian Great World are actually on Li Hao's side. He, Sujiya, only brought 1 or 2 people from the Xiaoxian Great World. Therefore, the combat force over there is almost the same as his. Except that there is no top 12th level strongman like him. Sujiya. And how much worse is Sujiya's side? Or so to say, the Immortal Emperor is also there. Not to say he was killed, but enough to hold him back. Once this scene appeared, the Sword King was instantly frightened. This group of people was prepared, and the Sword King had to think about a problem. Not only was he attacked, but this meant that this war might be a total war. The next moment, 3 small black swords pierced his chest directly. This also made the Sword King understand more clearly that this group of level 11 guns was definitely not an ordinary level 11. At the same time, the Sword King had discovered that the leader was a level 12 strongman. But the aura of a level 12 strongman revealed on the other party's body came from different power systems. If they merge and mix, the energy level is probably not much weaker than that of a 14th level warrior. Plus so many 11th level warriors assisting. I am afraid something will happen to me. At the same time, Sujia sneered while attacking. You are so timid. You really don't deserve the title of Sword King. In Sujia's opinion, Sword King is a very brave and handsome title. As a result, the opponent showed from beginning to end that he was no different from a clown. He was just an old blood-sucking worm who was afraid of death. No wonder he surrendered to the ancient god. Shouldn't normal strongmen try their best to improve their strength and resist the injustice of chess pieces and fate after seeing the ancient god? But these people in the 6th level star field are content to be running dogs. Perhaps people below level 13 are not aware of the existence of the ancient gods. But everyone above level 13 is a lackey and a cancer of the universe. Sujia has understood the affairs of the ancient gods very well during this period of time. After reaching level 15, they will be harvested by the ancient gods. At the same time, every few years, the entire universe will be restarted, and thousands of creatures will die in the restart of the universe. And all of this is because the ancient gods prevent others from becoming ancient gods to share their own share. And the ancient gods don't take those creatures seriously at all. Or it must be that multiple universes are probably like this. Only a very few universes are not like this. Facing such a hopeless fate, how could Sujia surrender? Therefore, today is the first shot fired by him. Sujia. It is also the first shot fired by the universe. When he successfully becomes the only strongest person in this universe, then he, Sujia, will use this as a goal to liberate all known universes. After seeing that he had no escape, the Sword King made a bold decision. He is worthy of being able to cultivate to the level of 14. And he is not a coward. The long-term lackey behavior may have worn down their high spirits. But their past experiences and pasts are not fake after all. After all, before becoming a level 13 strongman, I am afraid that the Sword King also worked hard step by step. However, the past combat experience and accumulated strength were still a bit tricky. The next moment, the King of the Realm slashed out with a sword without saying a word. In an instant, 6 of Hong Ye's 10 hollow balls were broken. This scene instantly made Hong Yi sweat profusely. I never thought it was so strong. But when Hong Yi thought so, the Sword King was even more shocked and angry. He never thought that he, a level 11 strongman, could not completely break all the life weapons of a mere level 11 ant. Of course, the reason for this was naturally because Su Jia and others were holding him back. And Yin Ruoro used the art of the Great Tao to weaken this Sword King. But this was enough to scare and anger the Sword King. At the same time, a war broke out on the entire planet. The so-called 6 Realm Star region is actually a 15th level strongman in charge of a planet. The other 5 planets each have a 14th level strongman assistant. At this time, Su Jia directly fought on both sides. The former Emperor Li Hao and the large army were all on the other side. And they were carrying out a decapitation operation. There were not many weaklings. In such a desperate situation, the Sword King also had his hair disheveled and roared. However, Hong Yi also directly used his true power at this time. Part of the power of the Pure Land World was directly used by Hong Yi. At the same time, the resonance of the Pure Land World was also activated on the Frost Woman in another battlefield. Instantly, the advantages of the power of the ancient gods and the benefits of the rules of the universe appeared at this moment. The Sword King and the Gun King in the distance were directly suppressed in all aspects. It was like the gap between immortals and mortals. You, a mortal, practiced martial arts to the extreme. But it was not as good as a casual attack of an immortal. Even if it was an immortal without spiritual energy and moves. It was not an ordinary person who could touch porcelain. This was why Su Jia wanted to take the battlefield to the Gun King and send the power of the Pure Land World. This is the absolute suppression of the rules of the universe on these ordinary creatures. If Su Jia did not have the Pure Land World, he would not have thought of resisting. Or in other words, he did not have the Pure Land World. or the power of the rules of the universe. He did not even have the qualifications to compete with the ancient gods. However, this qualification to compete with the ancient gods to suppress these ordinary people is undoubtedly a dimensionality reduction attack. Even if the energy level is not as good as the other party, the quality is there. When Sujia also directly chose to resonate with his Pure Land world, countless soul energies were released, and the Sword King was a little desperate. At the same time, in despair, the Sword King also burst out his bloodiness. Do you really think I'm a soft persimmon? I've lived for more than 10 million years. I have countless souls of the dead. You want to suppress me with your soul power? That depends on whether you have the strength. The next moment, the blood of the Sword King burst out. The old-fashioned man who was afraid of death seemed to disappear. The one who appeared in front of Sujia and others at this moment was a decisive killing god. On the other side, the Spear King also directly sacrificed his own life, and the long spear pierced the void. The crack in the void directly shook the immortal emperor, Li Hao, and the gods and others apart. I know what kind of existence you guys are. You actually want to rebel against the ancient god in the legend. It is really a way to die. With your strength, you actually want to rebel against the ancient god? You actually want to kill me? Stupid. What a joke. To be honest, the Gun King is a loyal lackey. Or, the Gun King is probably more desperate than anyone else. He would rather point his gun at those who dare to resist than say a word against the ancient god. I'm afraid this Gun King is another kind of person. In fact, Sujia had already known many people before reading this. Some people are lackeys not completely because they want to be lackeys. They also are people they want to protect. Or, being a lackey for the ancient god has its benefits. That is, when the universe is restarted by the ancient gods, those lackeys will get some benefits. In other words, the entire universe is restarting and destroying. But the lackeys and their planets, that is, the people, will be protected and persist until the birth of the next new universe. After seeing such difficulties and massacres, the Gun King and the Sword King still chose to fight hard. I'm afraid it's not just for themselves, but for their own people, their relatives and friends to get the qualifications to go to the new universe. At this moment, the Gun King probably understands that he is probably dead. Yes, the Gun King seems to understand his situation and fate. But what he said is likely to win the favor of the ancient gods and give his people a chance. But Sujia can only say it's ridiculous. If you are still useful, your people may be able to go to the new universe. But you just want to flatter them. How could those ancient gods, those snobs, spend huge resources to resurrect you? Without the protection of strong people like you, how can they survive until the rebirth of the next universe? But the Gun King obviously knows this. But he is still gambling. But Sujia can only feel that they are pitiful. Even a little sad. This group of people would rather gamble. And the ancient gods can be kind. But they dare not gamble whether they can defeat the ancient gods. The spines of these people have been broken. Or they have been kneeling for too long. And they can't stand up or straighten their backs. And at this moment, in these two battlefields, when someone or no matter what, the 6-world star field is also 6 planets. But 2 planets are attacked. The 14th level strongmen of other planets, and even the 15th level strongmen may have found something wrong, and want to come to investigate or even support. But when Sujia and others were not clear, or when Sujia was ready to use his backhand to kill the two, and directly start the next round of war, a situation beyond Sujia's plan occurred. But this situation is developing in a good direction. Because when the Spirit King and the Heavenly King, 2 level 14 strong men next to the Gun King and Sword King planets, wanted to help, there was a sudden sound of talking and laughing in the void. It has been many years since such a brave newcomer appeared. We are old, and we don't have the means to deal with the ancient gods. Now that such a good seedling has emerged, we old men can't let you ruin it. I don't agree. It seems that the young man has made sufficient plans. Although it is a bit hasty, the young man may also have a backup plan. Why do you care so much? We don't have the power of the universe rules. What is this called? This is called a pledge of allegiance. You have known about that kid's ideas and plans. Being his lackey is much better than being the lackey of the ancient gods. I want to experience the boy's dream world. After this battle, I can take this pledge of allegiance and ask for an experience. The secret bosses in the void talked to each other and laughed. Then they broke the void and walked out, under the cautious watchful eyes of the Spirit King and the Heavenly King. The powerful men who were once famous in the universe and dominated the world appeared in the 7 days. Among them, there are even 14th level strong men, but most of them are level 12 and 13. This proves that when you break through to level 11 and above, you will probably attract the attention of the ancient gods. This is why Sujia can't wait, and can't wait any longer. Because when he breaks through level 11 and reaches level 12, he won't have much time. Therefore, he must give it a try. Fight to support the war. Improve quickly. Only in this way can you have the qualifications to fight the ancient gods. The war fluctuations that broke out on the side of the Spirit King and the Heavenly King were also felt. It can be said that it was unexpected, but reasonable. However, Sujia also secretly breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. At least, he didn't have to pay too much for today's battle. Otherwise, if there was a fight, and the 2 level 14 strongmen rushed over, he might have to directly block the souls of the Pure Land world. To seal it, at the same time, he gained huge power in an instant and forcibly killed the Sword King. Then he swallowed the Sword King and forcibly broke through level 13. At that time, he might have an unstable foundation. But now, with the help of those old guys, even if he only needs to buy him some time, Sujia doesn't have to spend a lot of power to kill the Sword King. So after swallowing the Sword King, Sujia will not have an unstable foundation when he is promoted to level 13. At the same time, when the Pure Land world grows a bit. At present, the power and potential of the people who followed him will also grow. This is the horror of the Pure Land world. As Sujia becomes stronger, others will also become stronger. And as others become stronger, they will also feed back to Sujia. It can be said to be the Emperor's way. The Emperor will be strong when the people are strong. The people will be strong when the Emperor is strong. On this side, the Sword King and others have completely despaired. The sudden appearance of the ancient existence that joined the battle made the Sword King understand. No one came to support, and no one would come to support. His strength is not weak, and at least in terms of level. According to common sense, it is enough to crush Sujia and others. But the fact is, Sujia alone is enough to be on par with him. Not to mention that others can cause effective damage to him. It won't be long before he, the Sword King, will be killed. Jiawang tried to escape many times, but unfortunately he failed. Yes, the current Sword King can't even escape. Be clear. Defeating and killing are 2 completely different concepts. But now, the Sword King with a level of 14 was surrounded and killed by Sujia, a level 12, and a group of level 11 teammates. But the Sword King suddenly laughed crazily. God King. We are called the 6 kings after all. But the so-called 6 kings are actually just the running dogs of the ancient god. This king has no merit in these billions of years. But he must have worked hard. But now no one is willing to help. Instead, the 3 planet masters below us sit and wait for death. You are really cruel. Demon King. Immortal King. You 2 are only at the peak of level 14. Just wait and see. The 3 of us. The next one will be you too. After saying this, which Sujia didn't quite understand, the Sword King seemed to have a tendency to self-destruct. Although Sujia didn't know the whole picture, he could guess roughly. For some reason, the God King, who was a level 15 strongman, and the other 2 powerful level 14 peak strongmen did not come to help for some reason. Therefore, the Sword King collapsed. He was ready to drag them to self-destruct together. At the same time, Sujia also tried and suddenly shouted, "Give up resistance. I will protect your people." As soon as this was said, the Sword King, who was about to self-destruct, paused slightly. But soon, he laughed crazily again. Billions of years have passed. How can this king have any people? Relatives and friends? But at this point, the Sword King's original tendency to self-destruct was miraculously eased. However, seeing that this Sword King, at least in Sujia's eyes, was not worthy of his position, he did not force the proud Sword King, but sighed. This king has lived too long, and has lived too long. I still don't understand the meaning of protection. Before I became a lackey of the ancient gods, I was also a guardian of the world. Before I became this despicable lackey, I was also a hero, a mysterious and powerful person from outside. You have great courage and ambition, but I just want to tell you, the ancient gods cannot be defeated. After saying this, the Sword King suddenly collapsed. Obviously, the Sword King did not choose to suffer humiliation for Sujia's surrender. But he did not choose to give Su Jia a ruthless move in the end. At least, he did not self-destruct, which seemed to represent some pleading. He pleaded with Su Jia to leave some survival opportunities for his own people. That is, the creatures on the planet he controlled. After his death. In fact, Su Jia really didn't plan to massacre the stars. Now, there is no point in gathering these forces. The Pure Land world accommodates too many souls. Although it can become stronger, the time is too hasty and brief. In addition, after the Sword King disintegrated on his own, the rich energy gushed out in an instant. Su Jia also ordered decisively, all personnel practice on the spot. After this order was issued, Su Jia immediately became alert. Just as the Sword King said, the real strong men, that is, the three, have never shown up. If there is no conspiracy, Su Jia doesn't believe it at all. Although the Galactic Empire has already begun to deploy, the technological weapons have already set up artillery positions and are ready to rush to the aid of the outer space at any time. This is the news that Su Jia just learned. But even so, Su Jia still dare not take it lightly. One wrong step, and the whole game will be lost. No matter how bold Su Jia is, he dare not gamble on this matter. But in any case, Su Jia at least got a piece of information. Whether it is the Spirit King who is being besieged by the Immortal Emperor and others on the other side, and the Heavenly King who is being besieged by the group of ancient hidden strongmen at this moment. Su Jia can see these three. Their strong desire to compete for hegemony has long been worn away, and they completely pin their hopes of survival on others. This is enough to prove that these three people have been scared out of their wits by the so-called ancient god. At least Su Jia can't see any resistance. Otherwise the Sword King wouldn't even dare to self-destruct in the end. If it were him, Su Jia, he wouldn't care about anything. Su Jia, couldn't rely on the goodwill of others for the lives of his subordinates and compatriots. Before he died, Su Jia, would definitely bite the other party hard. Although this idea is naive and will cost a lot of uncertain factors. But this is also the most basic condition for a strong man to fight for hegemony. However, the Sword King doesn't have this. It is enough to prove that at least the three people who are being besieged now are cowards. The Sword King was even the best among the three. On the other side, the Spirit King and the Heavenly King who were being surrounded and killed were begging for mercy. The other was shouting for help. They were more horrified about the death of the Sword King. But there was no more emotion or helplessness. Along with the death of the Sword King, soon, the Spirit King and another Heavenly King were also successfully killed. However, the strange thing was that the other three, whether it was the 15th level God King, or the Demon King and the Immortal King who were at the peak of level 14 and only one step away from level 15. At this moment, they had no intention of taking action. The world situation suddenly became weird. The Galaxy Empire has built countless artillery batteries in the outer space. With just one order from Su Jia, countless Venus swords and energy will cover all nearby galaxies. Carpet bombing. Even if it is impossible to kill opponents above level 13. But after the Venus cannon is built, even the legendary 15th level strongman will inevitably suffer some skin injuries. What's more, the Galaxy Empire never relies on the so-called star cannon. The Galaxy Empire has more outstanding weapons and more powerful shells. At the same time, the combat troops led by the 10th level and below of the 10,000 races hall are also continuing to slaughter. And the continuous replenishment and the opponent's continuous consumption have now gained the upper hand. The main reason is that the strongest kings of these three planets have been killed. And those who fought desperately also lost their fighting spirit. But suddenly, the world seemed to be quiet. A powerful figure suddenly tore through the void and came to the center of the three battlefields. A tall and sacred archangel appeared in the world with an absolutely noble temperament. The other party also had an arrogant attitude, but spoke softly. Your name is Su Jia, right? This war started because of you. But I advise you to stop. Continuing will not benefit anyone. I am not your enemy, and I can't be your ally. But I also have my plan. If you insist on your own way and want to be my enemy, then I can only tell you with regret, I can only kill you. The one who suddenly joined the new battlefield was none other than the Immortal King, one of the top 14th level warriors. The appearance of this Immortal King and the sense of oppression he brought also made Su Jia understand that even if they were all at the same level of 14, there was still a gap. If it was said that the pressure brought to him by the sword net was almost non-existent. At least he, Sujia, was confident that he could fight with the opponent and even kill him with his last breath. But when this immortal king came here, Sujia felt depressed. He couldn't beat the opponent. Of course. Now, the souls of the Sword King and the Spirit King have entered the Pure Land. Except for the Heavenly King, who was killed by the group of ancient beings. It can be said that Sujia just added 2 14th level combat forces in a moment. If this combat force is counted, Sujia is not really afraid of the immortal king in front of him. But at this moment, Sujia suddenly became difficult. He originally thought that the 15th level God King was just an empty shell. Now, Sujia estimated that he might have guessed wrong. He misjudged. When he saw that the new king brought him such a sense of oppression, Sujia understood. The strength of the God King, who could suppress the immortal king, was definitely not the ordinary 15th grade. The opponent has been in this road for too long. Maybe Sujia can't win over the opponent at all. But the same thing still applies. The premise is that Sujia, does not risk using the sword net and the soul of the Spirit King as power and support to help in the battle. After all, the soul of a level 14 strongman wants to plunder the Pure Land, which consumes too much energy. Not to mention that now the souls of these 2 level 14 strongmen have been recruited into the Pure Land world. Apart from anything else, a strongman of this level told him that it is easy for strong men of too many levels to betray. Of course, easy is a bit exaggerated. But if Sujia continues to fight at a high intensity, it will be difficult to guarantee the loyalty and control of the other party. It may cause some chaos. Therefore, even when this angel-like holy and sacred immortal king appeared, Sujia did not use any action or thought to summon the souls of the Sword King and the Spirit King. In fact, this is also the difficult part of the Pure Land world. The other party's people will become the power in his hands after death. Isn't it the case now? But the Sword King and the Spirit King were killed and absorbed by the people on his side, who hold the power of the Pure Land. The Pure Land world naturally gave birth to the souls of these people and absorbed their power. Although in the short term, these guys with only souls will not be able to reach the strength of their own bodies in the short term. Not to mention overtaking. Therefore, if the 2 newly arrived Sword Kings and Spirit Kings from the Pure Land world were really used, he thought that his side's combat power would definitely be taken to the next level. Of course, Sujia did not intend to do so. The reason was very simple. Anyway, whether it was his death or the death of others, it was free of cost. Or at least the cost of their death did not require real lives. Therefore, why not take this opportunity to add some trials and tribulations? If an army that only knows how to play in a favorable situation fails, it will only fail more miserably. And this time, playing in an unfavorable situation is not a bad thing for anyone. At least Sujia thinks that there is no harm in this. Anyway, when the decisive battle comes, this low-end combat power will not be of much use. Nowadays, the reason why Sujia is still willing to train these people and give them more opportunities is also very simple. When Sujia becomes an ancient god in the future, he will naturally be invincible in the local universe. Naturally, he does not need such a soldier-type character to conquer the world for him. Sujia can directly rule the entire universe by slightly modifying some rules. But don't forget that his dream and ambition have never been to occupy this universe. In the future, Sujia will definitely involve multiple universes, multiple civilizations, and multiple forces. And at that time, when the universe-level collision comes, then the rule power controlled by Sujia will be counted. At least he can't have everything he wants. When Sujia collides with other universes, it will be king versus king and general versus general. Whoever soldiers take the lead will be more likely to win. Or at least the balance of victory will tilt towards him. Therefore, these soldiers now, even if they are not so promising at present, will have a big role. More importantly, Sujia thinks, as long as he can make the people in his camp support him in the future decisive battle, then the army will burst out with stronger fighting power. This is why Sujia wants to promote the concept of absolute equality and the utopian worldview. Soon, the appearance of the immortal king also attracted the heavenly king and others, who suddenly tore through the void to help Sujia deal with the rescue. They were a group of strong men who gave people a very old feeling. Among them, there were 2 level 14 strong men. There were 4 level 13 strong men. The remaining 8 or 9 were all 11 or 12. In this regard, the immortal king seemed to know these old men. And among them, There are also people who look very young on the outside, but are actually tens of thousands of years old. In response, the newsman also spoke expressionlessly. 10,000 years ago, I was soft-hearted and spared your lives. Why do you want to die now? Hearing the old man led by the flower of the former king, he laughed. You are a running dog, but you really take yourself seriously. Come here quickly and die. Although no one present is as strong as the fairy king, the strongest level 14 strongman is only in the middle of level 14. But with so many people here, no one is really afraid of this fairy king. If this fairy king is a level 15 strongman, everyone seems to remember something. But now, who would be afraid of him? In other words, including Su Jie is a little curious. Curious about why this fairy king dares to negotiate with them alone? Why did this fairy king say that as long as they retreat, today's matter will be forgiven? Where does the other party get the confidence from? But at least this matter can be said without exaggeration. Even if the level 15 strongmen brought the remaining level 14 peak strongmen here, they are not afraid. Su Jie even felt that he could deal with these lackeys of the ancient gods without even using his backup. He had expected this group of hidden strongmen, but he didn't expect them to be so strong. Of course, they are strong. But in fact they are just ordinary level 14 strongmen. But it is enough to surprise Su Jie and beyond his expectations. Originally, Su Jie was thinking that he had to seal the Pure Land world and bless himself with all the soul power of the Pure Land world. Only here can he fight with the 15th level strongmen and others. But the special effect is the current situation. As long as Su Jie takes action at the critical moment, he will be able to take down these running dogs of the ancient gods. And once these running dogs of the ancient gods die at the hands of Su Jie, then, when Su Jie refines to the 6th realm star field, it will be the day of slaughtering gods. However, when Su Jie was thinking about this, the immortal king directly ignored the group of old strongmen. Instead, he looked at Su Jie with a sharp gaze. At the same time, the other party also spoke meaningfully. Young man, you are very strong. You have the power of rules in your body that we old guys don't have. It is an alien that can threaten the ancient gods. Have you ever thought? If you stay dormant for a few more years, you will improve your strength. We are definitely not your opponent. But now you come out too early. The other party's subconscious is obviously very simple. According to the lines, it means that you, Su Jie, are too reckless and appear too early. So it is easy for me to kill you. But Su Jie raised his eyebrows when he heard it. Obviously, the other party is so arrogant that Su Jie feels a little uneasy. No one is a fool, especially after practicing to such a level. The next moment, Su Jie seemed to realize something. Instantly, the sky seemed to be broken. A 15th level wallpaper and another 14th level peak wallpaper appeared one after another. But even so, this God King, Demon King and this Immortal King all arrived here. And no one still thought that the other party had a chance of winning. But then, when the power of rules spread, when the space was broken, but Su Jie seemed to have thought of something. Su Jie, now I know why this group of people are so confident. It was just a moment. More than 20 level 13 strong men appeared directly. Not only are they the lackeys specially cultivated by the ancient gods, but also the original foundation of this 6th level star field. But it is undeniable that these hundreds of level 13 strong men who suddenly came have the strength to threaten the level 15 strong men. The next moment, someone was seen with golden light all over his body, shouting, "We are the agents of the ancient gods in the world. Mortal, hand over the power of rules in your hand." The manuscript naturally could not be as the other party said. But at the same time, Su Jie was jealous because he found a more critical problem. For some reason, he always had an illusion. This group of 13th level strongmen who suddenly appeared did not seem to be very respectful to the God King. They even gave Su Jie an illusion of the same level. Su Jie even realized that some of these 13th level strongmen were too arrogant. They did not even take the 15th level strongmen and the other two 14th level peak strongmen seriously. In other words, Su Jie has made some guesses. If the 3 top masters headed by the God King, who are still alive, are dogs adopted by the ancient god, then these hundreds of level 13 masters, who suddenly appeared, are probably the dogs raised by the ancient god himself. One is a wild dog that was recruited. The other is a loyal dog that was trained since childhood. It was this weird feeling. And Su Jie's eyes flickered instantly. At the same time, Su Jie also held the idea of testing and suddenly spoke. God King, you have cultivated to such a level. I don't believe you have no ambition. And you also know that I have the power of rules that can threaten the ancient god. I will tell you the truth here. I have the pure land in my hands. Anyone who enters my world can have this power. Are you willing to have a group of people standing on your head? Are you willing to be driven like a slave? Level 15 strongmen are the strongest in the universe. There is only one opportunity away from the ancient god in the legend. And I am willing to give you this opportunity. Rather than being a mortal controlled by the ancient god, why not enter my world and be a controlled ancient god? An ancient god controlled by me. How about it? Of course. Sujia was just talking. He really didn't dare to open his lens world to a level 15 strongman casually. That was the foundation of his life. If he really let that guy go, and suddenly turned against him, Sujia and all the people in the Wanzu store would be in danger. Sujia's words made the group of level 13 loyal dogs suddenly change their faces. The next moment, someone shouted at the God King from a high position. God King, you must know who gave you this life and your current status. Come with me to kill all these people. Seize the new power of rules for the ancient god. As soon as these words came out, Sujia immediately alerted and established contact with the siege turrets deployed by the Galactic Empire in the outside world. As long as he gave an order, the entire planet would be swept. At the same time, it is said that it is firepower coverage. But how could his Galactic Empire not have the technology of precision strike? At that time, they only need to resist the aftermath, and then watch the God King and others who are attacked and bombed in the center. Even if they don't expect to kill this group of Yuan Dan, they can definitely be greatly weakened. Especially this group of hundreds of level 13 strong men. I am afraid they will be seriously injured. This is the power of technology. But I didn't expect it. This Sujia was a little surprised. Under the shocked and stunned gaze of others, the God King suddenly laughed. He looked at the other equally arrogant level 13 strong men arrogantly. At the same time, he said sarcastically, "You ants? How dare you talk to me like this?" The next moment, before Sujia and his men could deal with a group of level 13 warriors, the God King did take action. The Demon King did nothing. And the Immortal King watched the show with amusement. Then it was a one-sided massacre. Not everyone has the elite strength of Sujia's 10,000 races hull. Not everyone can fight across levels. The sudden change and infighting caught everyone off guard. But the God King suddenly continued to speak. Demon King. Immortal King. You have been a dog for others for so many years. Haven't you ever thought of resisting? You are Sujia, right? It is impossible for me to be another person's dog. But I also want to fight for a chance. It is bright. This time, I am willing to attack and kill the ancient god with you. Who can achieve the position of the ancient god at that time depends on their own luck. As soon as these words came out, the group of level 13 warriors, who were being slaughtered suddenly became angry. God King, I knew long ago that you would never be so honest. Today, you finally exposed your ambition. You have no idea how powerful the ancient god is. With your strength, it is as easy to crush the ancient god as to crush an ant. So it is not too late for you to turn back now. Various threats and temptations continued. But obviously, this God King is not a fool. He also knows that he will be punished later. Therefore, he insisted on doing everything possible and continued to charge and kill. After the Demon King held back for a while, he seemed to finally be unable to hold back anymore, and rushed towards the group of level 13 warriors with the God King. Only the peak level 14 Immortal King did not do anything, but just watched the situation on both sides with a playful smile. But when the Demon King also joined the battlefield, the level 13 warriors became even more angry. Many people were resisting and trying to escape. God King, how dare you? Don't kill me. I surrender. You guys over there. As long as you are willing to help, we will ask the ancient god to gather you. As long as you become the ancient god's apostles, you can get safe shelter when the next universe destruction comes. Obviously, this group of level 13 warriors naturally cannot be the opponents of the God King and the Demon King. Therefore, this group of level 13 warriors set their sights on Sujia and his group. But obviously, they can't succeed at all, because no one cares whether they can survive after the great destruction. No one is a fool and will give their life to others. But the God King still showed his attitude. He also wanted to fight. Instantly, Sujia also made a decisive decision and took the lead in killing the group of level 13 warriors. Now that the decision has been made, don't hesitate. First, deal with this group of level 13 compulsions. According to the God King, he will find a way to summon the ancient gods. Then they would find a way to kill the first batch of ancient gods who arrived, and finally kill them in the god realm. In the end, how many of them could become ancient gods? Sujia didn't know. But Sujia knew that he, who had the power of the Pure Land world, would definitely become one of the strongest ancient gods. And by that time, he, Sujia, would also have the confidence to integrate. As long as he was the strongest, then he would have the confidence to become the master of the universe. At least with this group of people assisting in the strategy and difficulty of killing gods, it would be greatly reduced. Sujia had no reason to refuse this opportunity. The next moment, under the gaze of the group of level 13 strong men who cried and wailed, most of them were killed. Until the last level 13 strongman, the special lackey of the ancient god, was killed. Everyone present also became clear. Not much, but enough. At the same time, the galactic empire in the universe also came down. Several level 11 strongmen. At the same time, various energy cannons were aimed at this place. As long as the ancient god was summoned, he would be executed immediately. Then, the space fell into a strange silence. The next moment, the God King began to summon. And the reason for the God King's summoning was also very simple. The creatures with the power of rules have grown to have the strength to threaten him. Ask the ancient god to take action, and the other party will definitely not be stingy. The reason is very simple. When you reach the level of an ancient god, it is very difficult to make further progress. But people like Sujia, as long as they are devoured by their ancient gods, their strength will inevitably improve. And during the summoning period, Sujia also learned some interesting information from the God King. Now there seem to be only the last two ancient gods left. In other words, all the ancient gods are about to be discovered, and the two surviving ancient gods have been slaughtered. But now, among the remaining two ancient gods, one is already extremely weak, and is about to be devoured by another ancient god. In other words, according to the God King, once there is only one ancient god left in the entire ancient god land, he will immediately turn against him. Because according to the God King, if there is only one left of all the ancient gods, if the ancient god finally succeeds in raising the goo, then they will have no chance of winning. But as long as there are two ancient gods, then he, the God King, is willing to give it a try. The bicycle turns into a motorcycle. The next moment, the whole sky is bright. The world seems to be quiet. The power of rules is like the hymn of the angel. It brings revival to all things. Then, in an indescribable space, a brilliant golden light descends. Finally, a ladder is formed. A god with an emperor-like posture walks down from the ladder leisurely. Obviously, this is very well pretended. The next moment, no one could react, but saw that the God King suddenly killed silently. At the same time, the God King also roared, "Let's go together. This is our chance. The ancient god who descended is weak. We are enough to kill the opponent. And this is the second ancient god. The power of the ancient god and the power of rules have not been unified. They are defective. We have a chance to win." The anxiety and ecstasy of the God King made everyone a little scared. At the same time, when people heard the words of the God King, they immediately became ecstatic. The second one to rush up was Sujia. He naturally took the lead. As long as he killed the ancient god with his own hands, his dog's strength would be greatly improved after he sees the opponent's power of rules. At the same time, the dog thief has secretly issued an order to the Galaxy Empire. After they have dealt with this ancient god, the Galaxy Empire, including the 10,000 races hall that stayed behind, will destroy the 6-realm star field at all costs. Then fill the 6-realm star field into his own Pure Land world. And this time, in addition to his master Inruoru, Hong Yi also needs to follow him to fight. At the same time, as the last actual controller of the Pure Land, you are the Frust goddess. Then stay in the outside world. After all their strong men enter the space where the ancient god is, the 10,000 races hall and the Galaxy Empire will directly bombard the entire 6-realm star field. Then fill all the living beings into his Pure Land world. In this way, Sujia will reach level 14 in an instant, and even have the hope of reaching level 15. At that time, as long as Sujia finds a way to swallow the first ancient god who descended during this period, then Sujia will have the hope of breaking through to level 15 directly. There is even the hope of directly transforming himself into an ancient god. This opportunity is rare in the world. If he does not seize it, Su Jia knows that he will definitely regret it for the rest of his life. Then, because the God King and Su Jia rushed forward, the ancient god became furious. How dare you, God King? I have long known that you are an ungrateful wolf. Today, I will kill you and take back the power of the king in your body. The next moment, an accident happened. To everyone's surprise, the God King's body seemed to be restrained. At least for now. In the eyes of other outsiders, his combat power seemed to have been directly reduced to zero. And the next moment, the only one who was hit and attacked was Su Jia. Everyone knew that Su Jia was the key to their victory over the ancient gods. So they all rushed forward to protect Su Jia. But it was obviously too late. And Su Jia also thought to himself that it was bad. He originally thought that the God King rushed forward, and he had to help follow up. Otherwise, the other party would be in danger. After all, the God King was the only level 15 strongman among their group, and he couldn't let him die easily. Although he would not be killed instantly even if he was hit by the ancient god. If he was seriously injured to the point of death, it would probably affect the next plan. But only Su Jia knew that he would not die. And even if he died, he could be resurrected in the Pure Land. But others did not know. Especially the God King, who had been serving until now and saw his hope coming true, was instantly furious when he saw Su Jia being attacked by the descending ancient god. The next moment, under the unbelievable gaze of everyone including Su Jia and the ancient god, the God King suddenly opened his body wantonly. At the same time, he shouted coldly, "Close!" The next moment, a shocking scene happened. The silent demon king, the immortal king, who likes to watch the show and is called the Smiling Tiger, suddenly rushed towards the God King at an indescribable speed. The next moment, in full view of the public, the three of them merged into one in an instant. This scene instantly made the ancient god furious. I have long felt that these two are a bit strange. I didn't expect it to be true. After the God King merged, he even had a faint sign of forcibly breaking through to level 16. Yes, this is only a level 16 strongman, but not an ancient god representing a level 16 strongman. And what this God King achieved is only the 16th level of a mortal. After all, the God King does not have the power of rules in his hands. But this still couldn't change the God King, who had the qualifications to threaten the ancient god. The next moment, a big knife appeared in the hands of the God King, slashing at the ancient god. The ancient god, who originally wanted to attack Su Jia, had to raise his hand to block. Instantly, a drop of golden blood was left in the hands of the ancient god. But this made everyone ecstatic. The God King was able to break the opponent's defense. Everyone was crazy. The ancient god was even more furious, and slapped a 12th level ancient strongman who was killing him. But the ancient strongman was slapped and vomited blood and collapsed. But everyone was overjoyed again. Even a 14th level strongman can't do it. One move to kill. We kill. Just because he failed to kill the level 12 warrior in one strike. It was enough to prove how weak this ancient god had become. Although the level 12 warrior was probably beyond saving. But Su Jia secretly gathered the opponent's soul into his own Pure Land world and created a body for him. The next moment, because of the chaos of the battle, no one noticed that the level 12 warrior who should have died reappeared. Perhaps even the opponent himself did not know that he had died and resurrected again. But it did not change the ancient warrior's face full of ecstasy and continued to rush forward. Although his body showed signs of collapse after resurrection, his strength also declined seriously. But he could still maintain his level 11 combat power. At the same time, the fact that this level 12 ancient warrior was not dead was the biggest confidence and morale of everyone. Even the ancient god was a little suspicious of life at this moment. It is estimated that even he himself did not think about why he could not kill the opponent in one move. After all, the opponent was just a level 12 ant. But at this moment, he rushed over vigorously. Even after his move, the breath of this level 12 ant was a little slippery and weak, which was a little ridiculous. But this still could not change the fact that he could not kill the opponent. Then, the God King fought with the ancient god in close combat. Su Jia controlled the power of the soul to forcibly extract the power from the ancient god's body. The others used their own special moves to bombard. And the ancient god also resisted and defended with a gloomy face. From the moment he was injured, The ancient god knew that the situation was over. The fact that he could be broken was enough to prove that these people had the ability to kill him. Then, as Sujia felt that the time was ripe, the next moment, he directly sacrificed the power of the rules of the Pure Land world. The so-called power of rules is actually a bright blue soft light. At the same time, Sujia activated a competitive power in his Pure Land world. The Way of the God of Death. The so-called Way of the God of Death is the most dangerous power in his Pure Land world. After all, his Pure Land, in other words, is the river of life and death. The river of life still needs to nourish those souls. But the river of death was directly drawn out by Sujia and used as a big knife to kill the ancient god. Yes, that's right. Sujia still took out the power of the Pure Land to fight this time. The reason is also very simple. Sujia wants to fight quickly and take the power of rules from the ancient god alone. As for whether other people are happy or not, it has nothing to do with him Sujia. Actually, it's not nice to say. After the war with the ancient god, many people were killed by a single blow. But Sujia secretly resurrected how many people? I'm afraid that group of people don't even know that they have died once. After all, no matter how weak the ancient god is, he is still an ancient god. How could he not kill a group of weaklings of level 11 or 2 with one blow? It can only be said that Sujia was lucky before, and left behind some good resources. Originally, he thought that he would use them to resurrect his own people after the war. Unexpectedly, he solved the troubles of the Six-Realm Star Field without spending a single soldier. Therefore, the resources left behind were cheap, and these allies at the moment. Soon, the wounds on the body of this ancient god gradually increased. The other party finally stopped putting on the airs of a god, and turned to the sky to call for help. Sky, save me. If I die, they will rush into the ancient god world, which is not good for you. If my rules are robbed, your plan will no longer exist. As soon as these words came out, everyone's face changed greatly, and at the same time, they all rushed towards the ancient god more frantically. But obviously, the ancient god called the sky would not sit idly by and watch the death of this ancient god. The next moment, the ladder that was like holy light before appeared again. However, the ladder was directly broken, and the holy light that appeared with the ladder breaking appeared instead, and a more majestic and sacred, even indescribable god, who was emitting light all over his body, and gave people the feeling of a human-shaped light man, came to the world. But the next moment, at the moment when the god came to the world, a scene that shocked Sujia and everyone except the combined god king at this moment happened. But he saw the ancient god, who was begging for mercy, and was wounded many times. The ancient god named Wanwu suddenly looked at the god king and nodded fiercely. At the same time, he directly killed the ancient god named Sancheong. This scene even confused Sujia. But soon, including Sujia, they also reacted. No matter what private cooperation the god king had with Wanwu and this ancient god, but at least these two, who seemed to be the three strongest, instantly killed Sancheong tacitly. The reason is very simple. Sancheong is the most powerful. He also has the most power of rules. Killing the other party, and then fighting a decisive battle is the wisest choice. And Sujia and others no longer hesitated, and made the same choice as the god king and Sancheong. They killed Sancheong together. This ancient god in human form, composed entirely of light, seemed to have guessed the scene. But obviously, the appearance of the other party proved that the other party did not dare to gamble. At the same time, this scene may have been expected, but this is enough to prove the confidence of this ancient god. Confident that everyone can't kill the other party together. But obviously, the other party was too arrogant this time. The reversal appeared again. Originally, the three strongest men in the 6-star fields merged into one, which was enough to shock people. And when the god king merged with the ancient god named All Things, even the ancient god of the sky changed color. No one thought that the ancient god of all things had such great courage. He actually split into 4. One risked his life to fight with the ancient god of the sky, to snatch the power of rules. At the same time, he risked being killed at any time, and split into 4 clones to go to the real universe to practice. Finally, there were 3 clones of the god king, the demon king and the immortal king, who were the 3 strongest clones at the top of the universe. And now, it's time to harvest. The ancient god of all things has been waiting for the existence of a person like Sujia. Then, with Sujia, this group of people killed towards the sky together. And the idea of all things is probably very simple. The ancient god of the sky is too domineering. Not only did he kill all the ancient gods, he wanted to unify his own power and become the absolute overlord of the universe. At the same time, he also wanted to wipe out all the creatures in the universe and restart the universe. Therefore, in order to protect himself, the ancient god of all things was willing to betray the rules of the ancient gods. In fact, to put it bluntly, it is not the case that you betray for your own life. Whether it is a god or a human, they live for the sake of living. Song Qiong wants to kill him, but he doesn't allow him to betray? Su Jie can also guess what Wanwu is thinking. It's nothing more than thinking. As long as Song Qiong is killed, it doesn't matter if everyone present becomes an ancient god. Su Jie didn't see the ambition of the ancient god Wanwu. He just wanted to live. It is estimated that restarting the universe or doing other cruel plans are the ideas of the ancient god Song Qiong. And Wanwu's ideas are probably very bad. As long as he doesn't die and has the authority of the ancient god. No matter how many other people or other ancient gods there are. As long as they can't threaten him. What does it matter? He, the ancient god of all things, doesn't want to be king. As long as others don't kill him. He would rather be an idle ancient god. How nice it is to enjoy leisure every day. But it is because of this thought that Su Jie's eyes change for a while. To be honest, if this kind of person becomes an absolute overlord in the future, it is not impossible to spare his life. And to be honest, Su Jie has never thought of killing him. After all, the biggest function of his Pure Land world is to be able to choose to let the opponent live after killing him. And this time, because of the fusion of all things and the God King, the strength has skyrocketed again. The power of the ancient gods combined with the strength of level 16 has given the ancient god of all things after the fusion the capital to fight against the sky. At the same time, with the help of the war, several people followed the footsteps of all things and rushed into the world of the ancient gods. The next moment, when several people came to the world of the ancient gods, they were all intoxicated. Countless scattered rules spread. It is conceivable that for the ancient gods, the rules that are precious in the eyes of others are insignificant in their eyes, as long as they have not grown up thoroughly. And they are even too lazy to absorb them. In an instant, everyone didn't care about continuing to fight, and hurriedly sat cross-legged and began to absorb those miscellaneous and weak rules. Obviously, it doesn't matter to them, even if the strength of the ancient gods is weak. It is at least stronger than the ordinary 16th level strongman. But Su Jie didn't care so much. At this moment, his body was constantly surging, and the souls in the Pure Land world were increasing. It was obvious that the Galactic Empire had taken action. At this moment, large numbers of souls were entering his Pure Land world to enhance his strength. At the same time, Su Jie did not say anything and directly spread out the Pure Land world and released it to the entire ancient god realm. Compared with it in absorption, his Pure Land world has countless living beings. The number has already exceeded 1 trillion. Let them absorb together. It will be much faster than the current group of people absorbing. In addition, after this group of people absorb, as the master of the Pure Land, didn't the power absorbed by these souls eventually help Su Jie? And no one else would dare to refuse. After all, the Pure Land world was under the control of Su Jie. And the creatures in the Pure Land world had never thought of keeping the power of rules privately, and not giving it to Su Jie. The reason was very simple. They had experienced and enjoyed what they should have experienced in the dream world. Now, these souls in the Pure Land world were more afraid of Su Jie's death than Su Jie. Therefore, they all absorbed it with all their strength. This scene made the others stunned and even fearful. Especially those ancient wallpapers. They were really angry and anxious. But they didn't dare to attack any soul. The reason is very simple. Everyone discovered these souls because they were the product of Su Jie's Pure Land world. They seem weak, but they are actually very difficult to kill. At the same time, if they anger Su Jie, they will be unlucky. Therefore, these ancient beings can only watch this group of people divide the power of the rules of the Pure Land world. Su Jie's strength is also gradually rising. Until 3/16th level. The cultivation method of the 6th realm star domain has reached level 16. The cultivation method of the Galaxy Empire has reached level 16. At the same time, the cultivation method of the natal weapon of the spirit world has also reached level 16. At the same time, his Su Jie's ancient god body is also the Pure Land world. And he is also successfully promoted to the ancient god. In other words, Su Jie at this moment is considered to be 4 level 16. To some extent, compared to 1 level 15. 2 level 14 peaks. Plus the ancient god's body. The God King is much stronger. And the current God King can compete with Song Qiong. This is enough to prove that Song Qiong also consumed too much in the previous ancient god massacre war. And has not even recovered to this day. Su Jie sneered at this. Waved his hand. And killed all the ancient strongmen, who did not belong to his forces in one breath. Those people did not even have the opportunity to complain or curse. And became part of his Su Jie Pure Land world. And then, just kill the last 2 ancient gods together. This universe will be within your grasp. Many years later, Su Jie, who has absolute control over this planet, looks at the thousands of fleets under him, and countless 15th level cultivators, and some 16th level cultivators. Su Jie spoke majestically and coldly. Ancient God Emperor, you lead the first vanguard army into the strange universe. Ancient God Inruoru, you will come later and eliminate all threats for Hongyi. Ancient God Hongyi, kill whatever you see and fill the Pure Land. My sons, we in the Pure Land world have entrusted ourselves with a heavy responsibility. Today, we will liberate the creatures in this strange world and bring them true freedom. Kill! The finale.